Bulldogs. The big boys are in town in front of a buzzing crowd, all hoping to wreck the national hopes of the Seminoles of Florida State. The number 3 ranked Seminoles are in town. Bobby Dodd Stadium, Atlanta. Tonight, the Yellow Jackets playing host to them at an ACC affair. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, and welcome to Saturday Prime Time. And you know, Bobby Bowden is not going to be accused of trying to rack up frequent flyer miles this year. This is only the second time for the entire year that Florida State will have to leave the state of Florida to play a game. But that's fine with him. Now, as far as common opponents in this ball game, Virginia. Earlier this year, Virginia undefeated. They came to Bobby Dodd Stadium. They were knocked off by Georgia Tech. And Mike Godfrey, just last week, down in Tallahassee, Florida State had a lot of trouble with those same Cavaliers. Good comparison or not?
I think it's a good comparison, but Georgia Tech and Virginia was a game with a slow pace to it, low-scoring game. And I don't think Georgia Tech can have that kind of game tonight because Thad Busby, Warrick Dunn, they'll get that fast break offense moving.
Like every Saturday night, we talk about our primetime players on primetime. And tonight's 2 big guys are actually little guys. We start with Joe Hamilton, freshman quarterback for Georgia Tech.
Oh, he's got a tough job tonight. He's 5'8". He's going to have the rush of Renard Wilson and Boulware coming down on him. He has to make plays throwing the football and running the option.
For Florida State, we know where it starts to get it done. It has to be with Warrick.
Every defensive coordinator that plays Florida State says we have to stop Warrick Dunn. None have.
Down on the sideline is Kellen Winslow, and Kellen has more for us on Florida State and their big play offense.
Well, Ron and Mike, you caught me just as Florida State was coming out on the field. When you talk about big play, Bobby Bowden said he'd rather have a home run hitter like a Cecil Fielder than a single hitter you have to bunt over to get in a scoring position. His home run hitter, of course, is Warrick Dunn. Indicative of that is last week against Virginia, Warrick had 25 carries for 66 yards, but on that one carry, another carry, he went 65 yards for the touchdown in a tight ball game. Is that type of play that Georgia Tech is going to have to stop tonight if they're going to be successful against a very powerful Florida State football team?
Well, what we say to you every Saturday night, pull up a chair, prop up your feet. It's prime time. Let's have some fun. It's Mike Tirico, Bobby Dodd Stadium, about to be filled to capacity. They're still coming in. The importance of this one tonight, Florida State 5-0 in conference play, then North Carolina, then Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Clemson with 4-2 marks. Bobby Bowden, that familiar face on the sideline, 265 career wins, second among active coaches ahead of Coach Paterno. Bowden, of course, at Florida State, it seems like the fixture. George O'Leary wants to be a fixture here in Atlanta, and I think before it's all said and done, he will be. His second season as he heads up the attack of the Ramblin' Wreck. Dave Frakes will kick it off. Coles and Peter Warrick back deep, and it's going to be Coles. Breaks it at the 20. So let's take look at the starting lineups for Florida State. Thad Busby at quarterback, improves with every snap. Warrick Dunn, of course, he's the focus guy. Pooh Bear Williams opens at fullback tonight. The wide receivers, they can go 6 deep. They're all very good. Green and Cooper. Pearsall, the tight end, they don't throw to him a bunch, but he's really a fine one. And up front of the offensive line, Walter Jones, Marcus Long. Kevin Long is the center, no relation. Chad Bates at right guard, and Todd Fordham is at right tackle. He grades very well. A 3-year starter is Fordham. But a throw on first down. Hit as he throws the ball, and it is intercepted by Georgia Tech at the 35-yard line, and it's Brian Wilkins, number 16. Jermaine Miles hit him just as he threw.
Good pressure on Thad Busby. He opened the ball game with a play-action pass, figuring that they may think you're going to get the ball to Warrick Dunn to start. Linebackers play the run, but the contact made by Jermaine Miles causes this interception. Georgia Tech, great field position to start this game.
You could see 35 cut in front and almost make the interception. That's Keith Brooking, the junior. Movement all over the place, and Joe Hamilton will have to go back to the huddle. Now, all of this started so rapidly. Tech actually won the toss. They deferred to the second half.
Dead ball. Full start on the offense. 5 yards.
Ron, you talked about early whether or not this could be another Virginia game. Well, when you get turnovers inside the 50-yard line, you have to get points against Florida State. You're not going to get many opportunities against them. You have to take advantage, and that's a bad mistake jumping offside.
One of the things that George O'Leary said is that we got to have something good happen early. Well, part of that has come true. Let's see if they can make the rest happen. 5, 6, and 7 yards on the carry is Holloman, who starts at tailback tonight. Hamilton at quarterback. C.J. Williams will be a tailback for most of the evening, and Gubba gets the start, number 34, at fullback. The wide receivers, Middleton and Chardon. And at tight end is Bainham. Also, you'll see a lot of Myers there as they use them in blocking situations. McGee, he's the best. Minter, Page, Salage, and Steve Jackson at the right tackle spot. Short drop and a quick out. He's got it complete. That'll be enough for the first down to Harvey Middleton. Defensively for Florida State, those two defensive ends, Wilson and Boulware, we'll talk about them all night. Andre Wadsworth, unsung, very good. Also Pernell Spain at defensive tackle. The linebackers, active, very good. Emotional leaders, got to be Vernon Crawford. Bush, steady in the middle. Also Henry Crockett. And in the secondary, they continue to improve. Shevin Smith is the guy who probably has come the greatest distance. Was a walk-on, now full scholarship, a junior out of Miami. C.J. Williams, big opening, right up the middle. Minter, Hayes, Salage blocking well. Shevin Smith makes the tackle, and some momentum for Georgia Tech.
Well, I think they have some momentum early. What you want to do against a team like Florida State that has such powerful defensive ends working up the field is run at them, number one, in quick passes, and that's exactly what they did, throwing the ball to Harvey Middleton.
Get a good look at 55, Renard Wilson. There's Boulware. C.J. loses his footing, may have tripped over his quarterback's feet, and he will be back close to the line of scrimmage as Williams. Didn't play last week, out with a hamstring. They wanted to rest him against Central Florida, so he would be close to 100% for tonight's ball game.
Ron, the keys to the ball game for Georgia Tech: no penalties, no turnovers, and they've got to average at least 3-4 yards per play to try to keep the ball away from Florida State.
Third down, line to make is the 13.5. Swings it out. That's Williams, and he dropped the football. That was a lateral, and it's been picked up by Shevin Smith. Now, we're going to have to look, but boy, Mike, he sure looked as though he was running away from the line of scrimmage rather than a forward pass.
Well, they call it an incomplete pass, and let me tell you, the most important thing about that is if that ball is completed, that may go for a score because there was no one out there to tackle C.J. Williams.
The ball would not be advanceable because that would be a muff, but it sure looked like a fumble. We'll get a look at the replay in just a moment as Chambers comes in to attempt a 35-yard field goal. Good pass, plenty of distance, and he's got it. Georgia Tech 3, Florida State nothing. We'll be right back. ESPN's coverage of Saturday primetime is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember, Buick, the new symbol of quality in America. Well, Mike, here's that key play just a moment ago, and take a look as Georgia Tech's on top 3-0. But when you look at this replay, this is away from the line of scrimmage. It's a lateral.
Well, there's 2 points here. First of all, let's watch the play, and look, if he catches this football, there's no one there. He's got a touchdown. We're going to come back and look at it again. Now watch where Joe Hamilton throws the ball. It's definitely a lateral, Ron. The ball is behind the C.J. Williams, and they just didn't give him the call, called it an incomplete pass.
And as I said, even if Shevin Smith had picked it up, he couldn't have scored because that would have been a muff, but it would have been Florida State's football. Warwick on the near side. Lavernus Cole, number 7, on the far side. As Frakes will kick it off for the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, who's gone on top in the early going here. Coles 5 yards deep, and he'll go down and take a knee.
All week, Ron, the coaches at Florida State preached to their football team about the Virginia game last year. Said this is the same kind of setup we're going into here. A good enough football team to beat us if we don't play.
Busby intercepted just a moment ago in the first play. Fakes the run. Out to Dunn. He's wide open. 25. And a nice open field tackle. He'll go for 7. And let's check in with the... Okay, well, let's take a look at the starters on defense. Hughes, Shepard, Bradford, and Jermaine Miles. Now, Shepard and Miles, the two real goers up there. Miles is the one who caused the interception a moment ago. The linebackers, boy, they play tough. Rogers and Brooking. Also Jimmy Clements, number 28. We'll check the secondary in just a moment as Florida State, with their no huddle, right back to the line of scrimmage. Busby got it overthrown, and a flag is down, and that is way back at the quarterback, as Ron Rogers is the one who had the cover on the play.
Warrick Dunn is really upset with one of the officials too. I've never seen him get upset on any play on any game. He's upset with an official. Felt like that they had interfered with him on the catch.
Yeah, you're right. Warrick is not one to... In fact...
On the offense, half the distance to the goal. Second down.
We're going to call holding on Florida State's Todd Fordham, number 71, and that is a hold. And here's the play on Warrick Dunn. Ron Rogers over the back of him. And Warrick Dunn just never complains, but upset about that call.
Yep, he really was. Bobby Bowden made the point when we did the Clemson game down in Tallahassee, that the youngster never complains about anything, but he's not getting the football or whatever. Just very quiet. Well, they got a long way to go now on second down. Dunn with the handoff, breaks off one tackle, and then D will knock him out of bounds short of the 15-yard line.
Last year, Warrick Dunn had 6 straight 100-yard or more ball games rushing the football until he met against Georgia Tech. They only allowed him 60 yards last year, so they play very strong against the run. Every defensive coordinator that plays against Florida State said, number 1, we've got to stop number 28, Warrick Dunn. Everybody tries to take him out of the ball game.
Mike, it's third down, and they need about 16 yards to keep this drive going. Just under 12 minutes to play. We're in the opening quarter, and Tech has a field goal. Busby waited a long time, now puts air under it, and almost intercepted by Wilkins. And now a flag is down. And it's right in front of the Georgia Tech bench, and you have to say that they're trying to lobby against E.G. Green on Wilkins' behalf.
Pass interference on the offense. Penalty is declined.
That's not a bad play by E.G. Green, though, because even though if it's intercepted, it's like a punt, but he has to become a defensive player now in this situation with Brian Wilkins, so he just tries to pull the ball out as much as he can.
Wilkins almost made it anyway. Sean Liss, you see his average just over 40 for his longest. Came down at Miami, 76 yards. And Perryman is the man who is back deep. As the field position for Florida State has not been good this entire first quarter, either possession. Liss's kick into the wind. Good hanging spiral. Fair catch. Flag comes down because they ran into Perryman. He got bumped on the way by.
Yeah, that was a smart move by Perryman, because I don't think he was even trying to catch the football, but he ran in to a Florida State defender.
Coles, I believe, number 7. Lavernus Coles is the man who made contact. It's only a 37-yard kick.
Kick catching interference on the kicking team. 5 yards. First down.
So what that means is that, again, Georgia Tech will have the ball across midfield. Well, next Saturday, ESPN is the place to be. 12:30, Ohio State takes on the Fighting Illini. Then on primetime at 7:30, number 10 Alabama takes on Kevin Falk and company, number 12 LSU. That one at Tiger Stadium. But start the day with College Game Day at 11:30 a.m. and the Residence Inn Scoreboard Show at 7 and 10:30. Quick pass. Incomplete, just a little bit low, as Middleton, the intended receiver.
Now they're going to give him the completion.
They are.
Like, right? Okay. Now they're talking it over. Now it's very slow getting to the football. They're going to give him the completion. Harvey Middleton Middleton is a very good possession-type receiver. Tough receiver. They lost Eric Stiegel early in the year. Before the season started with an injury, Harvey Middleton's had to be the step-up guy.
Good for 7 yards, so second down and short. It's Myers in motion. Charlie Rogers, not big, but he's a scooter, and he's close to the first down. In fact, he may have it just outside the 35-yard line. Pittman comes over to make the stop on him.
Left tackle Curtis McGee was given a signal to the fullback to make sure that he ran inside and lead Charlie Rogers because of the defensive end playing outside so far.
The Boulware made comment last night that this fella, Curtis McGee, has given him problems. Last year, he didn't have a sack against Georgia Tech, and he said one of the reasons why, Curtis is very good at what he does.
Curtis McGee's an outstanding tackle. What so far in this ball game, a good game plan by Georgia Tech, throwing the ball quick, running right at inside the defensive ends,
and leaving the tight end in for blocking also, Mike. Well, they almost got caught for delay of game, so they'll call timeout. 10:19 to play, opening quarter, Tech by 3.
On the way back to Atlanta, it's a final. Cal, which won a 3 overtime game earlier this year, beats Arizona in 4 overtimes. Cal keeps alive its hopes for winning the Pac-10. They play Arizona State next week. And remember, all OT stats count, so a great day for Pat Barnes. Ron and Mike.
Mike, was that a 3-point shot, or did they do it at the free throw line?
I don't know. That's a lot of scoring, and like Mike said, all the statistics count. So some guys padded their statistics in those overtime games.
Really did. Look at this Mike and field position. Opposing 40-yard line for Georgia Tech. Florida State, their own 21.
You got to take advantage of it, though. You got to get points, and preferably a touchdown.
First down. The 35, pressure up the middle. Hamilton throws, got a man there, and almost taken away by Shevin Smith. Sheridan, the intended receiver. Mike, when you talk about Florida State's defense, this fellow right here just seems to, every time you watch him play, he gets better and better. He's the playmaker.
Ron, in '94, he was a walk-on player playing against Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and before this season started, Bobby Bowden said to Mickey Andrews, he's our best defensive back, gave him a scholarship. The number 37, Smith, just in good coverage with Mike Sheridan.
He broke his arm in his Georgia Tech game this last year. John Myers in motion, draw play. Charlie Rogers breaks inside the 35. Shevin Smith in the stop now, 3rd and long.
What happens, Ron, when your offense is struggling a little bit, like Florida State's is, and you don't have field position, now Mickey Andrews is blitzing a little bit more because he's forcing the action on his side of the ball. He cannot afford Georgia Tech to get any more success and confidence in this football game, so they're taking chances on defense now.
Well, let's see what they come up with. It is a 3rd down, and the line to make to pick up the first is the 25.5. Wilson and Boulware ready. Ball right up the middle, close to the 30-yard line. Bush will make the stop on Curtis Holloman on the inside handoff. And we'll see another field goal attempt.
That play call was respect for the 2 defensive ends, Renard Wilson and Peter Boulware, because you get in a situation 3rd and long. You don't want a sack. You don't want a big play. You want to set up the field goal. They feel very comfortable doing this.
Friggs, this is an attempt to 48 yards. Oh, that one's well right. Not close. So Georgia Tech with 2 excellent opportunities, and this one very empty. Do they come up?
Well, they do, Ron, and that's, again, give credit to Mickey Andrews and the Florida State defense because they stepped it up. The defensive ends, they stepped it up. They blitzed. They brought some pressure on Georgia Tech and talked them out of throwing the football on 3rd and long. Here's Renard Wilson, number 55. Again, trying to get up the field, thought it was going to be a pass, and reacting to the run. On the other side, Peter Boulware, number 58, working up the field again. That's success. You're going to have success when you run up inside them, but Andre Wadsworth is waiting for you up there, and he's a pretty good defensive tackle.
3rd time Florida State has had the ball in offense tonight. Dunn loses his footing in the backfield. Shepard is the closest man to him, but he just went down, and he'll lose 3.
Too, when you're a team that scores and big plays and sometimes when you get opportunities to go on the field as an offensive team, you start pressing because you lost a couple opportunities earlier, and now you get a little frustrated.
We had heavy rain last night. This field is in excellent shape. But yesterday afternoon and last night, rain. Cooper makes the catch, fights his way to Perryman, has him in his grasp. And now it's going to be third down. It's still close to 10.
When you look at Florida State, they ranked 46th in total offense. Last year, they were number 1. And you see their ranking this year. When you look at that, 40th, 48th in pass yardage, 46th total offense, they're a big play offensive football team.
Busby zings it, has it complete, and that'll be the initial first down as Cooper makes the reception. So Busby makes the first big connection of the night. They move the chains and hold on to the football at the 8:02 mark. 3-0, Georgia Tech leads. Busby's throw had Messam open just a little bit beyond him as Bostic, who is the boundary corner for Georgia Tech, out there on the cover.
And I really believe Thad Busby. I've always felt like he had the tools to be a great quarterback, and then when he started this year, started a little slow, but the Miami game was the big game for him. He sees 3 out of 6 with 1 interception, but that was caused by the pass rush. But the Miami game and that win gave him confidence, and I think he's going to take it to the next level.
Kind of his coming out party, as it were. Dunn tries to turn the corner, gets out of the grasp of Wilkins, then is going to be knocked out of bounds squarely on the 50-yard line, and Chad Bates, number 65, with an excellent block out front.
Warrick Dunn, you can try to stop him, but I still believe, and I've said it every week, he's the best running back in college football, because every defense that plays Florida State tries to stack up to stop Warrick Dunn. Now, Thad Busby ought to have a big night throwing the football tonight, Ron, because of the strategy by Georgia Tech.
Hit, what a great open field tackle, Ron Rogers. One of the inside linebackers, and he gets him, I believe, before he picks up the first down. You go for it, Mike? It's about a yard and a half.
Punt the football. When you have as good a defense as Florida State, just a matter of time, your defense is going to maybe get you a turnover. You've got to punt the football.
Standing ovation for the Georgia Tech defense here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Sean List to punt again. Perryman is the deep man. Good driving spiral this time. Runs away from it. Takes a tech bounce and goes into the end zone. It is a 49-yard kick, and there's the guy that is responsible for putting the halt on Dunn. House, great evening for football here at Atlanta, Georgia. Key plays so far, Mike.
Jermaine Miles is going to get a piece, number 95 of Thad Busby, and he caused the interception that set up field position for that field goal. Here's the pass play. Here was the interception. Georgia Tech, Brian Wilkins with a pickoff, and then they were able to take it in for the 3-0 field goal run. But we talk about Florida State's decision to punt the football. Now they get field position changed. Now see if their defense can keep it that way.
First time tonight that Georgia Tech has had to take over the ball in their own territory. They go from their own 20. C.J. Williams going to go for about 3. Julian Pittman is down at the bottom of that stack along with Hamlet and Darrell Bush. Three to nothing if you've just joined us. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Kellen Winslow coming to you from Bobby Dodd and Georgia Tech, Atlanta, Georgia. C.J. Williams, head of steam. He'll have 4, maybe 5. They're going to mark him just across the 28. Henry Crockett puts the stop on him. Crockett, big play guy in that Florida State defense.
Well, I was going to say C.J. Williams, the biggest difference in him this year is that he, as opposed to last year, he lifted weights all winter, didn't play basketball. They think he's a little stronger running back this year. Now, they also have Charlie Rogers. a little quicker running back that they'll substitute in and give C.J. a spell.
Plus the fact you'll see number 23, C.J. Williams, at wide receiver some. They worked on that quite a bit on Thursday in practice. There's Williams. Oh, my goodness, what a nice tackle by 95 Canal Spain, who just took his legs right out from under him on the submarine.
When you have good defensive linemen like Renard Wilson, Peter Bower, and Andre Wadsworth, Canal Spain's always going to get one-on-one blocking. Number 96. He just angles into the inside. The block is missed by Ken Salage, and he makes the play in the backfield, forcing the punt. Now Florida State should have great field position. And look out for Dee Feaster.
Williams a little inconsistent, but he can really boom it. Gets a lot of height on his kicks. His longest 77 this year. Feaster all the way back to the 27-yard line on the fair catch. It's a 44-yard effort. Well, the Deuce goes the distance tomorrow for the New York City Marathon. Over 29,000 runners from around the world make the 26.2-mile jog from Staten Island through Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx, ending up in Central Park. ESPN's 2 coverage begins tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. for the New York City Marathon. Now, the cold front that's been coming across the nation came through Atlanta last night. Supposed to go into the low 30s here tonight, but a very comfortable evening. But the wind could be a factor a bit as it continues to blow out of the north. Busby swings it out to Dunn. 30. One look at the move at the 35, 40. Dunn into Georgia Tech territory, and that's just what Coach O'Leary talked about, the big play, and you got to keep them from it.
They're a big play offensive football team. You take University of Florida, you take Miami, Florida State, with all the skill they have, they're all big play teams. But when you can get the ball outside on the pass here, the swing pass to Warrick Dunn, that's like a pitch out. Now he's on the outside. Look at all the moves he makes and all the people who can't stop and make the tackle.
Yep, you got to break down and be kind of conservative because he'll go right by you. That's Miles from the backside. A flag went down. I think they're going to have holding, and the pass well overthrown. It looked as though Miles got almost tackled on the leg as he broke by the offensive tackle.
I'm not so sure it's not going to be Todd Fordham again, who's having some problems with Jermaine Miles.
Yeah, that's it. Holding against Florida State. Mike Tirico, let's go back to you. What do you have for us, partner?
Ron, we have this. McDonald's breakaway take you to the Southeastern Conference at Jordan-Hare. Auburn is behind. Arkansas's Oscar Malone. 7-yard touchdown. And over on the Deuce, the Hogs. The Tigers right now by 7.
Well, this time last year, Danny Ford's club steaming its way toward Atlanta. A little bit disappointing this year, but that's a good start at Jordan-Hare.
Last year at this time, we did the Arkansas-Auburn game. Arkansas beat them, had to hold on in Little Rock to beat them. I believe it was 30-27, 3-point game, so they're off to another good start against Auburn tonight.
You just joined us 3-0, Georgia Tech, and that man right there, number 95, Jermaine Miles, has wreaked havoc against Florida State in the early going. Try to set up the screen. Georgia Tech figured it out, and boy, if he could have dropped that one, he would have been better off, because the tackle is made by Clements, and they're going to lose big yardage as a flag goes down.
There's another flag, Ron, and this was a late throw all the way on the other side of the field. Another holding call.
3 offensive holding calls in this first quarter. Somehow you would think that book would be reversed.
And this was really a late call now. It was way away from the football. But that field position they gained with the punt, they've lost it on these penalties.
Mike, and that comes from the spot of the foul. We said he had lost big yardage. I mean, look, the original line of scrimmage was the 46-yard line. They are all the way back at the 16.
One thing about Florida State, Ron, they can pick it up because, as I talked about, they're a big play offensive football team, but it's tough when you got 1st and 48 to go.
So let's see. First down. The pitch to Dunn. He gets hit and knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. Kellen, let's check in with you down on the sideline on what's happening on the Florida State side.
Ron and Mike, the coaches feared this after a big win up in Virginia. What happened to them last year? If they came off of a win, they came down here to Virginia, they lost. Now it's with Georgia Tech in the same type of situation. They're flat. The penalties. It's just a team on a very cold night in Georgia who just can't find their groove right now, and they're struggling. The penalties, you know, 2nd down and 47 yards.
Boy, the noise is incredible at that end of the stadium as Rock Preston comes into the lineup. He'll take it to the 21. Keith Brooking will stop him. And Mike, just like we talked about in the opening tonight, here on local television, I mean, the next big game, let's be honest, for Florida State is Florida. What was on TV before Bobby had his last meetings this afternoon? The Florida Gators, and they left the hotel, I promise you, with Gators on their mind rather than focusing on Georgia Tech.
Well, they better get the Rambling Wrecks on their mind here quick. But I think, Ron, when you look at this, a long ball game for Florida State. That's why Bobby Bowden's ran the ball twice now. He doesn't want a big turnover right here because he knows his defense will eventually get him some good field position.
Busby right over the middle. Incomplete and almost intercepted on the tip. Messam is the guy that they wanted. Bostic was there.
Ron, when this happens to you, and you're especially on the road like this, and the crowd is in the ball game and your team's flat, I'd much rather be carrying a great defense with me like Florida State is, because I know eventually they're going to make a play for me if I just hang around this ball game long enough. So I think Bobby Bowden will keep pushing his football team, but look for his defense to make a play.
Sean Liss waits for the snap, back at the 6. Not a good kick, end over end. It's returnable, and the ball is fumbled. Picked up and holding on is Nathan Perryman, and George O'Leary's heart just jumped up in his throat. 39 yards on the kick, fumbled it, it came right back to him, and then he just got pounded. 2:46 to play in this opening quarter. Georgia Tech goes back on offense. They lead this ball game 3-0. It's Middleton in motion to the top of your screen. Charlie Rogers hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Gerald Bush, the first man to get there. And Mike, here's where a thing, they list Charlie Rogers at $180, and he looks like more 165 range. It's hard to pound against this defense of Florida State.
Well, Bob Casulo, the running back coach, says he's a little dynamo. He's got natural instincts, but he's always a happy guy. And he said, I just want him to have some success in this ball game.
Busby being attended to on the sideline. Well, look at the average field position. It has been in Georgia Tech's favor the entire first quarter. Charlie Rogers squirts through across the 50 down to the 47. Hamlet finally will stop him. The problem for Charlie, he has chronic back problems. He has been playing well. He's only a sophomore, but you know how debilitating a back injury can be. But it's one of the things that slowed him. But they need both he and C.J. Williams in the lineup.
So he's always okay on game night, but the next day, I mean, he is really hurting from the hits that he takes in the ball game.
Frank Page, redshirt freshman out of Jupiter, Florida, comes out over the football. They roll the pocket. Hamilton's going to run it and gets a pickup block and will come out of bounds after picking up the first down inside the 45-yard line. Mike Sheridan is the guy who came back with the good pickup.
I'll tell you who made a great block, though, was Charlie Rogers, the little running back, 5'10", 180, and he made the block that sprung Joe Washington to the corner to get the first down. You're going to see the sprint out. Now watch number 3, Charlie Rogers. There's the block right here. Now all of a sudden after that block, Joe Hamilton knows he can make it to the first down and does.
Middleton again in motion. They pull the guard to counter play. Will go to the 40-yard line. Henry Crockett will make the stop on Charlie Rogers. Mike Tirico, back to you.
Ron, both Los Angeles teams are home. Southern Cal lost earlier today. Now UCLA at the Rose Bowl taking on Stanford, and Mike Mitchell from 10 yards out busted in the Pac-10. Tie game at 7.
So Stanford trying to come up with a victory. It's been a tough year for them. The guys from the place they call the farm. Hamilton's pass. Did he trap it or did he catch it? They're going to say he caught it at the 36-yard line. That's Middleton. You can see the signal by Vernon Crawford. He said he trapped it.
Slow decision, but they made the decision that he made the catch. But when you look at this game plan by Georgia Tech, everything's based in the run game on running inside the defensive ends and quick passes to the backside. There's the rushing chart. 13 rushing attempts, 11 have come inside those defensive ends that are working up the field.
Hamilton rolls the pocket again, drills it, has it incomplete. Nice coverage by Samari Rolle.
Almost an interception round. Samari Rolle stepped inside of that throw by Joe Hamilton. And that's what you look for in your defense, to stop those third down plays. Another field goal attempt.
52.5 yards, and it's Frakes.
Good defense run again by Florida State, stopping the running game.
High pass, he's got the distance, no. Going to be short. Hits at the back of the end zone. So Georgia Tech has come up dry on a couple of attempts that later in this game they could be very sorry for.
Well, there's no doubt it's going to come back and bite them, because you have to make every opportunity when you're trying to upset the nation's top 1 or 2 or 3 teams. You cannot give scoring opportunities away, because you're not going to hold Florida State this entire football game.
Got 11 seconds left. I think, last week they were held out of the scoring bracket in the first quarter against Virginia.
0-0 in the first quarter.
Hamilton talking upstairs to the offensive folks. They've got 3. Florida State has nothing. Busby trying to get it going. Zips his pass. That's Cooper at the 41. And Andre being pushed back by Nathan Perriman. And that will be the last play of the first quarter. So let's take a break. Georgia Tech 3, Florida State nothing. As we start the second, Mike, how about the numbers in the first quarter?
Well, when you take a look at statistics, we talked about the pace of the game, and right now Georgia Tech has the pace going exactly like they want. They've controlled the ball for 9-10, but they've missed 2 scoring opportunities, and Florida State's a dangerous, big play football team that could go ahead on 1 play.
You know, another stat that is huge in the mind of Bobby Bowden. 4 penalties against Florida State in the first quarter for 61 yards. Only 1 against Georgia Tech for 5. Busby, little stop and go. Not fooled on the play, and intercepted Wilkins with his second of the night.
Bad decision by Thad Busby. Threw in the double coverage. The safety over the top. Andre Cooper was being covered by Perriman. They rolled it up. He ran a fade route. Wilkins came over the top. You're going to see the throw by Busby. He puts Ark on the ball, but now watch the safety. Brian Wilkins come over the top, make the interception. I believe Cooper got away with a push-off, but Wilkins with the interception.
Banham switches over at tight end over to the right side, and the handoff goes to Holloman. And he'll have a couple as Stevens will put the stopper on him.
Yeah, it goes back to my theory again. When you're a big play offensive football team and you have so many opportunities, you get a little frustrated and try to make plays that aren't there. Try to get the big play sometimes a little bit too soon. Thad Busby made a big mistake there.
You know, and that's one of the things O'Leary said as well, is that we've got to be patient. You know, even if you play 3 and out and field position, that's how they won against Virginia. Mike, they didn't have a first down the last 28 minutes of that ball game. Throws this one right over the middle. That's Stallworth. And let's go down and check in with Kellen Winslow. Kellen.
Ron Thad Busby, the quarterback from Florida State, took a hit on his left forearm. His muscles cramped up after that. They tried to tape it up to give him some support. He didn't like the way it felt, so they ripped it off. Again, it's his non-throwing hand, but it might affect the way he takes a snap from center. We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, that's great, Kellen. A good hustle there. 14:07 left in this opening half. Georgia Tech on offense again and very close to picking up another first down, and they have. The stat that I mentioned just as the play went off there, Virginia held Georgia Tech to no first downs the last 28 minutes of the ball game. But George O'Leary said, hey, I'm going to play a little old-fashioned football. I'm going to punt, even if it's 1, 2, 3 and kick, play field position in the game.
That's because they had control of Virginia's offense. They were able to do that for the entire second half. He just got in that kind of a mode and stayed in it.
Middleton, number 81, and he's top of the screen. Movement by Florida State. Now, I'll tell you, there was a war of words this week. Probably the advice to Georgia Tech is don't wake up a sleeping dog. But Georgia Tech did accuse Florida State of late hits, cheap shots last year. In fact, they had an entire tape that they showed the team. And I can tell you, when you saw everybody come up there, they are ready to mix it up with the Seminoles tonight.
Dead ball, offsides on the defense, 5-yard penalty. Dead ball, personal foul on the defense, additional 15-yard penalty, first down.
Ron, sometimes in basketball, there's a time for the basketball coach to get a technical. To get his team going. And I'll tell you what, even though this is a 15-yard penalty, this is going to get this defensive football team. And may arouse Florida State a little bit because they're sleepwalking. Let's see what happens after this penalty now, whether Florida State gets it geared up a little bit more.
C.J. Williams now is out at wide receiver, top of the screen. But they swing the pass, intercepted by Green, and he'll take it for the touchdown for Florida State. And just like that, as Mike Gottfried said, hello, Seminoles on top. Yards. And what did I just tell you? George O'Leary had said, we got to be patient. And he was anything but patient on that throw.
No, and he made a couple mistakes on that play. Number one, you talked about C.J. Williams being a wide receiver. No one was out on him. He should have taken the ball early and thrown the ball to C.J. Williams. But instead, he tried to throw the flare out of the backfield. It was picked off by Lamont Green.
Headley with the extra point attempt. He's perfect. So let's take a timeout. 13:28 left in the first half, and our new score, Seminoles 7-3. ESPN's coverage of Saturday primetime is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers, and by Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth. Welcome back to Atlanta, Georgia. Disposition has changed on the two sidelines. A few more smiles on the Florida State side as Georgia Tech had it all going. 20 yards in penalties. They're across midfield. And Joe Hamilton forces one, and the touchdown return by number 40, Lamont Green.
Ron, now Georgia Tech still has to stay with what they're doing because they're still having success on offense and playing the field position game. But Florida State, not only a big play team on offense, but their defensive side of the ball also.
Rogers and Haney, the two deep men. This is Bentley kicking off. And it's going to be Haney. 15, 20. Mike, show us what happened on the interception.
Well, here is Troy Saunders, number 4. He's a defensive back, so there's no one under or no one covering C.J. Williams. So if Joe Hamilton would have taken the football and thrown to the right, he'd had a big play. Instead, he tries to go to the left side to Charlie Rogers. Lamont Green had him man-to-man, just stepped in front for the interception and the lead. But just a mistake by Joe Hamilton. When you see your receiver out there and no one on him, just call for the ball and throw him the football. An uncovered receiver rule that every team has.
This time, two tailbacks lined up. That's Holloman and C.J. Williams. Inside handoff goes to number 20, Holloman, and let's check in again with Kellen Winslow. Kellen?
Ron, I just want to tag the comment that Mike made about Lamont Green, number 40 for Florida State. He ran directly to that back. Somewhere during the week in practice, the coaches made that point, that back comes out that backfield, and he just took off wholehearted, took the angle, looking for the pick, forgetting about the receiver, and just picked off that ball for the touchdown. Good coaching by Florida State.
Good interception and a big play that they needed, but it followed that penalty that was called on their defense, and their defense rose up a little level.
Second down, they need to take the ball just across the 36. As Hamilton going to throw long this time, and well overthrown. Middleton was there, but you could see there was double coverage.
Well, they have it covered. They have it covered very well. Harvey Middleton is a great possession type receiver, but they lost the speed receiver in Derek Stegall early in the year, so they really don't have a fast receiver outside, and that's why they like to move C.J. Williams from the running back position out to a wide receiver to give him more speed on the outside.
Well, Middleton heads out there this time again. What do you bet the next time C.J. goes there, though, he'll have a defender on it?
Somebody will be accompanying him.
The swing to pass, Rodgers, and he's going to have the first down and more. Rodgers bumped out of bounds by Dexter Jackson, and Michael Minter, 74, with a key block.
That's the play that they had in the first quarter that they would have scored on if they would have completed it. Bernard Wilson's working up the field. Now the ball's going to be thrown right behind him. Just a little screen pass that you try to bring the defensive end down. Now there's the ball lofted over to Charlie Rodgers. Good lead blocker, Michael Minter, out ahead of him. Good first down call. Excellent call to take advantage of a hard-charging defensive end.
And, of course, that will be a running play because that's the same as a pitch. That was away from the line of scrimmage. John Myers in motion is to C.J. Williams, still on his feet, driving close to the 50-yard line. Henry Crockett will finally stop him.
This is the best I've seen any team run the ball against Florida State early in the ball game. You got to credit the Georgia Tech offensive line. Pat Watson, the offensive coordinator, coaches the offensive line. They're controlling the line of scrimmage against this defensive front.
And right now they've got two tight ends in the ball game. Chris Myers checks in with Bainham. As you look at rushing yardage, 66-16. It's 91. That's Myers. They like to send him in motion, sometimes to throw, sometimes to block. Hamilton's pass, that was forced, looking for Middleton, and there were a lot of Garnet uniforms around him.
Darrell Bush had a shot at picking this ball off. He's the leader of the defense, started every game as a redshirt freshman, had 86 tackles, led Florida State in the tackle department, and an outstanding middle linebacker.
And he's also pretty outstanding in the classroom. He's already graduated, finance degree, and is in graduate school.
He had a 3.96, I was reading, grade point average.
Wonder what he made a B in. C.J. Williams, nice job defensively as they just stop his legs from pumping. Dexter Jackson at the bottom of the pile, number 11.
Good forward surge by Andre Wadsworth and Connell Spain on the inside of the defensive front. When you have one defensive end that's great, sometimes you can double him, but Florida State has three excellent defensive linemen.
Feaster goes back deep. Rodney Williams, his first kick tonight, as you can see, good for 44, and somebody took a step back on the offensive line.
Well, Florida State's faking and trying to make little jab steps and trying to pull somebody out of their stance, and they did it.
False start on the offense, 5 yards, fourth down.
Just go right up to him, Ron, make a little jab. You're just trying to draw him off sides. You don't have any.
Feaster, Mike, 2 touchdowns this year. His longest return, 79.
Well, he's dangerous. He's one of the better return men in the country.
Hey, Williams took a long time on that kick. This is a great coverage kick. Very high. Feaster calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 19. So let's take a break. The Tech offensive line, they've been very consistent. We'll be right back.
couldn't sleep at all last
$1 million scholarship program. Burger King donates $100,000 per week in the name of scholar athletes whose achievements go beyond the field in all NCAA divisions. Tonight's students of the game from Florida State, defensive tackle Andre Wadsworth. He's a business major with a 3.15 GPA. And from Georgia Tech, tight end Grant Badum. He is a mechanical engineering major, and Grant has a 3.5 GPA. Engineering major. Remember his daddy played for the Dallas Cowboys.
When you talk about Andre Wadsworth, he was a walk-on at Florida State.
Florida State has only 2 first downs on the night. We have 11 minutes showing until halftime. Dunn tries to bounce it outside. 35. Brooking will not let go. And Warwick in a second effort will have about 3.5.
You have to tackle Warwick Dunn low. You got to tackle him in his legs because he's got such lower body strength. It's hard to tackle him high or around his waist and bring him down. Even though he's only 185, he gets a tremendous strength in his lower body.
Good look at Brooking there just a moment ago. He and Rogers talked with him after the walkthrough yesterday, and they are kids that you can tell play linebacker. Wonderfully exuberant, and they know only one speed. That's all out. Busby's toss over the middle, got incomplete. Across the 35 is E.G. Green, and out to the 39 is Jimmy Clements is holding on to him along with Wilkins.
Nice route by E.J. Green. Just ran down the field, hooked at about 12 yards, right in front of Jimmy Clements, the linebacker. Now Florida State trying to pick up the pace a little bit with the no huddle.
Clock runs. We're about to go under 10 minutes left until halftime. The Florida State touchdown as they lead at 7-3, coming on the 40-yard interception. Busby, pressure, going to step up into the pocket. Going to be hit and has knocked down. Miles is the guy who gets to him again. Jermaine Miles, a junior college transfer. He's from Brooklyn, New York.
He's having a great first half, and he's just given the offensive line of Florida State fits. Number 95 again up the field. Now Thad Busby tries to work up the field. Now Miles comes off the play and makes the tackle.
He's just been replaced. Deshaun Simmons, number 68, comes in at right defensive end. Second down and 12, Florida State. That's where they run. Dunn has 5, has 10. He's loose at the 35, inside the 20, and he is down at the 12-yard line.
Warwick Dunn is a type of running back that you may stop him 5, 6, 7 plays, and all of a sudden he does this. Again, you can't tackle him around the waist. Brian Wilkins chases him down. But I don't know of any other player like a Warwick Dunn that means so much to his offense, Florida State, at the running back position. There are quarterbacks, but he is the running back that makes him go.
The ball spotted just outside the 10. Pooh Bear Williams. Nobody's booing. It's inside the 7 on the carry. And for Dunn, 6 carries, 14 yards prior to that. Now 51 on that long run. So total it, you got 65. An average of over 10 per carry after that little jump.
And the bad news, Ron, is Rock Preston's in the ball game. 9 plays over 20 yards this season. Warwick Dunn adds to the big play philosophy of Bobby Bowden.
Rock Preston, as Mike mentioned, can be just as effective. In fact, inside the 2-3-1, did he score? No hands have gone up. Now we have an official who decides he'll make a decision. It's a touchdown.
Well, boy, when you can go to Rock Preston as your backup tailback, that gives you a 1-2 punch. Warwick Dunn got him down there, and Rock Preston finished him off.
Pretty good 1-2 punch, 28 and 24. We mentioned on the start of that drive that Florida State had only 2 first downs, but they got it done that time.
Around the pace of this game is going to change now.
Bentley's kick is good, and we'll go to break. One more look at the touchdown by Rock Preston as he goes to the left side and fights his way into the Georgia Tech end zone. We'll be right back.
Sunday night.
14-3, 1 offensive touchdown and 1 defensive touchdown. But that combination right there, number 28 and number 24, very deadly on that last series.
What's up, baby? What's up, man?
Bentley about to kick it off, and again the dual safeties for Georgia Tech, Charlie Rogers and Chris Haney. There they are right there, number 3 Rogers, 21 Chris Haney. This is Rogers at the 9. Out to the 27-yard line. Now to hear the key plays in the ball game so far. The interception thrown right there. Lamont Green steps in front. It takes it just over 50 for the touchdown. Then on the next offensive series, Dunn with his long run of 51 yards. And Preston got it into the end zone, 14-3. Mike, I would look for Mickey Andrews and his defense to step it up and gamble a little more right here to try to get a starting of a knockout punch. Would you think?
With 8:17 to go, that's exactly what they did, and they caused a knockout, the early punch, to get his defensive team in a little bit of a different mood.
Check in with Mike Tirico. Mike?
All right, guys, let's update the game over on the Deuce. It's Arkansas and Auburn, and Auburn has come back into the game. Here goes Rusty Williams from 15 yards out. He'll bounce it outside for a touchdown. Add the point, and on the Deuce, it's a tie game, 7-7.
Almost like the script from last year, as Mike Gottfried was talking about, that game in Little Rock that was back and forth all night. It's Bainham, the tight end, shifting from the left to the right. Rogers, little counter play. Tries to cut it back up inside. He is going to be close to the first down. Nope. They're going to stop him short of the 35, Julian Pittman, defensively, along with Wadsworth on the stop for Florida State.
Andre Wadsworth again getting penetration up inside, and Florida State's defense now is making Georgia Tech earn every yard they get. It's not coming easy. And where they've had success is right here. They've been able to stop Georgia Tech in key third down situations.
Third down, the line to make is the 37. Tech is 2 of 7 on third down conversions. And Hamilton got to be sacked at the 30. Darrell Bush. Also, Canal Spain was there, but it was Bush who made the initial contact. And number 2, Rodney Williams, will have to come on and punt again.
When Joe Hamilton's going to go to the outside, you're going to watch Darrell Bush give a linebacker pursuit and then pressure him up inside, trying to take away his throwing lane and trying also to make sure he doesn't run for a first down.
Williams, high pass from center. They were lucky. Florida State had to return on. Now this thing takes a big Georgia Tech bounce. Going to go dead at the 32-yard line. Well, catch the NFL countdown tomorrow as Boomer and the ball.
Imagine they'll find somebody to throw to. Well, that is a good football team and well coached, the Packers.
Yeah, they really are. But they have had an inordinate number of injuries, particularly the wideouts.
They need somebody to jump in the crowd.
Fake. The ball thrown complete at the 44-yard line. That's Wayne Messam, the senior out of South Bay, number 89.
All of a sudden now you can see Florida State getting into some offensive rhythm now. First down, a play action pass. Wayne Messam's going to come all the way across the field. Thad Busby on a little rollout, finds him, waits for him to clear the linebackers, gets him the football.
Deep over the middle. Got him open, and he dropped the football. E.G. Green. Oh, my goodness. You don't see that very often. Particularly when the ball is right there in his mitts.
Well, he caught him in cover 2 now. That's 2 deep safety. So E.J. Green is going to work down the middle against both these safeties. And that ball is thrown as well as you can. That's where you want to attack 2 deep coverage. Right in the middle of the 2 safeties. Just drop the football.
It's time to roll the pocket back to the short side of the field, going long and knocked away. And I'll tell you, Wilkins was very close to having his 3rd pickoff of the night, as Peter Warwick is the guy they wanted.
The other thing is now Florida State's throwing the ball downfield a little bit more, trying to take advantage of some of their speed matchups that they have. Peter Warwick open, but just couldn't get in the football.
That stops the clock just under 6 minutes until halftime. Florida State 14, Georgia Tech 3. Georgia Tech led at the first intermission, 3-0. Then the Seminoles came back with the defensive score and the interception, and then Dunn set up their second score with a 51-yard jump. Busby's pass complete to Cooper. He gets punished by Jimmy Clements after he catches it, and the ball is right at midfield.
Punt the football again, 4th down situation. Good defense by Georgia Tech and a good hit by Jimmy Clements. Ball was thrown underneath the first down marker to Andre Cooper, and Jimmy Clements with a good tackle.
Clements is very quick. He can sting you. He had a fumble return for a touchdown against Duke. Liss's kick, best one of his of the night at the 5, takes a Florida State bounce, and right there to down it is Wayne Messam. That's a 46-yard kick, but most importantly, dead at the 4. Well, the Deuce has the best in college football next Saturday, 12:30.
Ron, now you talk about strategy. Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, has got 3 timeouts to work with. So he wants his defense to turn this ball back over to this offense with 5:03 to go with great field position.
This is the worst start of the night for Georgia Tech. The ball inside their own 5. C.J. Williams breaks off 1 tackle. Take it for a gain of about 4. That's going to be Sean Hamlet. He put the stop on him, also Pittman.
This is where, when you see Julian Pittman in the ballgame, number 95, this is what Florida State does better than probably most football teams in college football. They're always substituting their defensive front so that by the time they get to this part of the season, they've got 2 deep in their defensive front. They can play 8 defensive linemen, keep them fresh. Fresh guys in the 4th quarter usually win in a close ball.
Tell you what, Pittman has been very effective tonight. Hamilton's pass, now that's a force. Colsey almost hit him right in the numbers. Lucky that he got that football back.
Yeah, you're right. That could have been intercepted. James Colsey was in great shape against Dexter Stallworth. But just a quick throw. He was throwing the ball. He was wheeling around on a pitch fake and then throwing blind to the backside. Lucky to get away with that.
You can see Bainham, the tight end, coming out of the lineup. 20. Curtis Holloman will check in. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Amityville, New York. 3rd down, the line to make the 15. Straight ahead with a handoff, and it's Holloman, who we were just talking about. He's going to be 2 yards short. His Boulware is down at the bottom of that stack.
Now the pressure goes to Georgia Tech here on 4th down. First of all, Florida State can block kicks. They're a very good kick blocking football team, so you've got to protect, and you've got to really have a good design of punt protection. But also you got Dee Feaster, so if you're protecting and they get a good hold up, you got a great opportunity for a big return here for Dee Feaster.
And Mike Williams has been a little bit slow in his effort tonight, and they got it. And it's going to be recovered for a touchdown, Florida State. Shevin Smith makes the recovery. In Williams' defense, I had just said he was a little slow, but also there was a high pass from center as well.
Yeah, but they missed a block inside because Peter Boulware came free right from the snap of the football. They had a missed blocking assignment. And this game is just taking on a different color right here now, Ron, because the Georgia Tech's got to get out of playing it safe now. They've got to step it up a little bit, and it's going to play right into Florida State's hands.
Bentley with the extra point has got it good. George O'Leary thinking, well, it's what happens against great teams. Look how they get their touchdowns. 1 by defense, 1 by offense, not by special teams.
Yeah, George has a good plan. It's come apart.
Mike, just last week, he was not even on the special teams. They put him there this week, and I'm sure right now they are very pleased that they did.
Oh, they really are, because Peter Boulware got a big jump on that punt to block it. Georgia Tech has a pro-style punting team where they split their 2 wide people, and they just missed the block.
Flag is down. Florida State's going to be called for offsides on the kickoff. Rogers takes it 5 yards deep, and let's see if they ask him to kick it over again. Here's the block. Mike, explain to us what happened.
Peter Boulware is the second man right there. He's inside. He's going to be blocked by the second man right here, but he's just let loose a little too quick. Peter Boulware on special teams for the first time again this week. Gets free. Now again, Ron, he does a good job of going to the point where the punter's going to punt the football and lays out so that if he misses the punt, he's not going to run into the punter. Just does an excellent job. They're well coached in special teams. And they still have 3:43 on the clock and still have their 3 timeouts, so they can still get some things going here before halftime.
They've scored 21 unanswered points, and as I mentioned just a moment ago, there were offsides on the kickoff, so they'll ask him to do it again. George got to be asking himself, hey, what do I do? This is what great teams do. They got one area or another that picks them up when the others falter.
Well, there's no doubt. George O'Leary has a good plan tonight. He has the same plan that he beat Virginia with, but Florida State's not cooperating. Big plays again. Linebacker Lamont Green intercepts the pass. Warwick Dunn gets the big run. Then you get the punt block. All big plays for Bobby Bowden. Talk about Cecil Fielder being the home run hitter. He's got a bunch of home run hitters on this football team.
I can tell you right now, there was steam coming out of Bowden's head at the end of the first period, though. They had over 60 yards in penalties in the first quarter. They had done everything wrong that you could think of. But they've made amends here in the second. Bentley will kick it off again, this time from the 30. This is Rogers at the 1. Now there's a block in the back, and that was absolutely useless. It's going to bring that ball back all the way inside the 10-yard line. And let's check in with Mike Tirico quickly. Mike?
All right, Ron, coming up, it is the GMAC halftime report. We'll tell you why George Welsh, the Virginia coach, was not happy with his team's performance today. The national picture keeps clarifying on this first Saturday of November. And there was a record, something that has never happened in any college football game at any level today. What was it? We'll just have to come back at halftime with Kirk and Lee and me and find out. Guys?
Okay, Mike, thank you. Roderick Roberts just bumped into somebody from behind, and Rogers had already gone by him. It really was a senseless effort and penalty.
Well, complicate that now if you're George O'Leary. You just had the punt blocked, and now you're back inside the 10-yard line. You still got 3:36 on the clock, and you're going to have to get it out of here right now. Offensively, I'd be trying to figure a way to throw this football to get out here so I don't have to punt again.
Inside with the handoff. That's Virgil Johnson, the big freshman out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Vernon Crawford says no, along with Stevens. Well, look at this. The big plays tonight, Mike. 56 on the interception return for a touchdown by Green. Dunn with a 51-yard run. Ron Preston then scored. And Peter Boulware with a block punt for the touchdown. Shevin Smith makes the recovery.
Home run hitters. I'm thinking more in terms of Norm Cash than Cecil Fielder. Left-hander.
There's a look right there at Lamont Green. Plays behind Henry Crockett. But tonight, he's probably going to have a game ball to take back to Tallahassee. Pitch comes back to Rogers. Tries to turn the corner. And comes across the 11 to the 12-yard line.
A good pursuit by Florida State. Sometimes you can take advantage of a team like Florida State when they're so fast by misdirection. But they have everything going defensively now, and there's 8 new defensive players coming on the field for Florida State. Again, good substitution by Bobby Bowden's football team.
Well, I'm talking with Mickey Andrews this morning as they were heading to breakfast. He said the only thing he was worried about, a lot of nicks and bruises. That was a physical game against Virginia last week. Hamilton deep in the pocket, hit, loses the football. It's on the ground at the 7-yard line. That was Boulware who caused everything to go awry.
He's a sack leader for Florida State. Look at how far outside the offensive tackle he is. He just ran over Charlie Rogers, number 3, and made the hit and caused Joe Hamilton to fumble.
That's what we were talking about last week, talking about running backs that are 180 and under trying to block linebackers that are 260.
Very difficult. Very difficult. Now, Ron, I would expect now you still go back after the punt, but I'd be more afraid of Dee Feaster right now because figure the punter's going to get this one off. But Dee Feaster, look out for him now. Punt return.
Timeout has been called, and we're going to hold it right here with 2:06. Rodney Williams nervously walking around back there.
Milano's going to mention we got Army in a couple of weeks, it looks like, and of course they won today. And Coast Guard, all the academies, the Coast Guard won today. They're 6-2, so all the academies are doing well this year. It's great for college football.
Army has got Air Force before they play Syracuse.
And they're playing well.
They're playing well. If they win, they'll come into Syracuse 9-0. If they lose, they're still 8-1. So
get to see the wishbone.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun Saturday night at Syracuse 2 weeks from tonight.
D. Feaster, look out.
Coming after him, and it's the shortest kick of the night. Fair catch is signal for, and he makes it at the 37. So they play it safe. It's only a 30-yard kick. Well, we talked about 2 weeks from tonight and the fact that we're excited about that. How about 1 week from tonight? Both of these teams are off, Mike. It'll be Alabama and LSU, and the ramifications, folks, this looks as though it's going to be for the West in the SEC. I have a feeling Tiger Stadium is going to be much akin to like the late 50s and early 60s when it rocked.
And I think you're going to see a great defensive ball game in that between LSU and Alabama.
Next Saturday night here on Primetime.
And the prize is to play Florida.
This is the best start as far as field position for Florida State. Dunn on the draw. Tries to squat underneath the tackle. And Jermaine Miles, who's been the main man all night, along with Ron Rogers on the stop for Georgia Tech.
Jermaine Miles is ready for the challenge tonight. He has handled his share on the defensive line. I
got a kick out of what George said in the meetings yesterday. We were talking with him about Miles. He said, you know, the first year here he was Mr. Mum, Mr. Quiet. He wouldn't say anything. And now all of a sudden he's not only become vocal, he's telling people on the field, hey, get fired up, do this, do that. He said, I'm glad he's being assertive.
And Pat Watson, the offensive coordinator, said he even talked to him. He said hello to him.
Well, coming up at halftime, the GMAC halftime report and some of the top stories they will talk about. Northwestern Blues, Carolina on a roll, and the rivalries. That and more. The GMAC halftime report.
North Carolina wins out. Do they get in the alliance, you think?
Yeah, I think they should. I think they got a great shot at it. I think this on both sides of the line, offensively and defensively, this is the best one Max had. I think it's the best one Carolina has had in a very long time.
And they got some tough games left, though. They got Louisville this week coming, and they can't take them lightly. They got to go to Virginia.
So the timeout was called so they could stop the clock with 1:48 until halftime. Florida State 21-3. Oh, just about 13 minutes and 15 seconds ago, it was 3-0 Georgia Tech. Second period has been a complete reversal by the Seminoles. Play action, going to go on top. Looking for Cooper at the goal line. He caught it. There's a flag down, and there is a possibility that may be offensive pass interference.
I think it's the other way, Ron. Let's see what happens. Oh, you may be right, but I think it's going to be defensive interference.
Perryman was covering, and they both were shoving.
Pass interference on the defense.
You're right.
Penalty is declined.
Yeah, I think it was interference all the way on Perryman. Cooper was just trying to use his body. And again, Florida State does as well at this as any team in the country, putting a high fly ball up and letting Andre Cooper just run under and make a catch. Now remember, he was Mr. Basketball in high school in 1993 in the state of Florida. See, he's just positioning himself. He's working up the field. Perriman's kind of got his hands on him. I don't know if that even called that interference. But Andre Cooper with a good catch.
Bentley with the extra point. It's good. So now Cooper with a touchdown reception. Brock Preston has scored for the offense. For the defensive side of the football, Lamont Green comes up with a touchdown on an interception. And the fellows from Tallahassee now are cruising.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I've seen Andre Cooper make that jump ball catch where you throw the ball in the end zone and he just makes the catch.
Kevin, let's check in with you down on the sideline.
Ron and Mike, the play that Cooper just scored on was the same type of play that Busby threw the interception on earlier in the half. The difference this time is that Cooper made the adjustment that Busby wanted him to make. That was the stutter and the go. Cooper didn't do that on the last play. This time he got behind Perriman, a very good defensive back, used his larger size to come up with a great catch.
Well, for Coop, that's his 5th reception, his first touchdown of the night. His number's 5 catches for 65 yards. You see the average, and he is into the end zone. And, Mike, that was the team chaplain that he was kneeling with on the far sideline. And it looked as though there was a little thank you going to the skies there after that touchdown catch.
Well, he's got a lot of God-given talent, and he's thankful for having it.
Personal foul called against Georgia Tech. So the Seminoles will kick it off from the 50-yard line. And he'll kick this one a mile out of the back of the end zone. And we have 1 minute 39 seconds left until halftime. And let's check in with Kellen again. Kellen, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, we're going to talk about the offensive line, but I do believe we're going to get an adjustment here. Shaw is coming in for Hamilton. But the offensive line coaches were talking to the offensive lineman about an adjustment to get outside to Boulware, maybe getting the guard to slide out a little bit quicker and letting the back up on the inside and let the guard come to the outside, help with Boulware. We'll see what they do.
Well, they tried that, I think, last time, Kellen. The guard didn't get to Peter Boulware because of the wide stance that he had, and he just ran over Charlie Rogers.
Brandon out of Marietta, Georgia. You could see the numbers on him last week. And before it's all started, Jackson, the right tackle, came out of his stance, and they'll be penalized 5.
Dead ball. False start. On the offense. 5 yards. First down.
Well, in the first quarter, it was Florida State making the errors. In this quarter, it's been Georgia Tech.
Now, Brandon Shaw, the backup quarterback, played against Central Florida last week, and they said he played very well. So I think they're just giving him a chance here with the 1:39 to go just to get a little playing time in here. I don't think they're unhappy with Joe Hamilton. He threw the pick, but I think they're just trying to get Shaw some action.
Low pass, better get on that thing. There are linebackers coming everywhere, and he's covered in garnet. By the way, it's been a couple of years since Florida State has worn these uniforms, all garnet, we were told. Rob Wilson coming up just before the ball game. Florida State now calling the timeout to stop it with 90 seconds.
Somebody told me the last time they wore it was about 7 years ago, and they beat Tulane. Now, your information is probably a little more current than mine, but
Rob said 2 will, you know,
all right, well,
2,
split
7,
the difference.
They're close. Mickey Andrews talking to Darrell Bush on the sidelines about what they want to do here. Well, coming up later tonight, we got more football. The Falcons of the Air Force Academy play host to the Colorado State Rams. Bo Morgan and his mates hope to continue their winning ways with option offense. That's following our football game from Atlanta. Colorado State Air Force.
I just thought about this, Ron. I'm going with your 2 years because my information came from a manager. So I'm going with your Rob Wilson.
Has that manager been there 7 years?
Looking at him, I don't think so. No, he's kind of young and may have been a little nervous giving me that information.
Second down, the line to make all the way out at the 30. 90 seconds left until halftime. Shaw's going to run 15, 20, and he'll take it to the 24. James Colsey will wrap him up.
You're talking about Florida State looking to Florida. They still have Southern Miss down that schedule also, but they're going to play them in the state of Florida. But that'll be a chore for them yet.
And the fellows from Hattiesburg are very good. Quick pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage, almost intercepted by Connell Spain.
There they got a punt again.
What, do you come after it, or do you put on a return?
I think I go for the return here.
Clock shows 60 seconds left in this opening half. Rodney Williams comes on, his longest of the year, 77 yards. He had that against Virginia. In fact, it was a key play in that win, the upset over Virginia. See the Seminoles come after him again. Got the return on. And it's a bad kick off the side of his foot. Feaster running up for it. It's going to go out of bounds around the 40. Only 37 yards in the kick.
37 yards on the punt. No return.
Now, this is a hold-up for Florida State. So what they're trying to do right now is just hold up the person that's blocking him. So it may look like Peter Boulware is being blocked there, but what he in turn is doing is he's blocking the other Georgia Tech player so he can't get down the field to cover.
Takes his time right over the middle. That one's going to be incomplete. He was looking for Peter Warwick.
That was good coverage by Keith Brooking. And the linebacker underneath on Peter Warwick. He was very good coverage. We talked about the two linebackers for Georgia Tech, Rogers and Brooking. They talk about them being a throwback to the 50-type linebackers. Just love to play and play hard all the time.
Long snap. Busby steps up and he shows that he can be very fleet of foot when he has to. Cooper is who he wanted, and it was just a little too far, so that'll stop the clock. 41 ticks left.
Didn't really gather his feet on that play. Just threw it wildly to Andre Cooper.
Well, here are the big plays so far tonight. We have to add what just happened with Andre Cooper, 38-yard touchdown reception. Boulware with a block kick. Dunn with a 51-yard run. Led to the touchdown by Rock Preston. And, of course, it all started with Lamont Green and his interception return for a touch.
And, Ron, there's still 41 seconds to add another one to that list.
Deep in the pocket and overthrown. He had him open that time. Ron Dugans, sophomore out of Tallahassee, just a little too tall, and Florida State will have to kick it back as Lisk comes on.
You want to win a championship, you have to have all facets of good football teams, and I think Florida State has a great punter in Sean Lisk and a really good place kicker in Scott Bentley, but Lisk can hit him. 6'4".
Georgia Tech has nobody back.
They got 11-man rush.
Lisk gets it away. It's his best of the night. Florida State's going to down this thing inside the 4 at the 3. Lisk comes up big. It's a 58-yard punt. We have 24 seconds left. And
that's Ronnie Cottrell right there, who's in charge of the punter and special teams. But, Ron, when you talked about Georgia Tech not having anybody back, you really can block 10 guys if you're the punt team. But when they go with the 11th guy, your punter really has to get the ball rid of it. He's got to get rid of it quick. And what Georgia Tech was trying to do is just come after that play. They knew they didn't have enough time to get any kind of field position, so maybe they get fortunate enough to block the punt, but they didn't. I expect the quarterback sneak and take it to the house here.
That's what he's going to do. So that should be the final play of the first half from Atlanta, Georgia. Both teams heading toward the locker room with our score. Florida State 28 and Georgia Tech 3. Right now, let's join Mike Tirico for the GMAC halftime. George O'Leary said, you know, you can stop Florida State to a bit, but you got to cut out the big plays. They didn't in the second quarter. The Avalanche came in on them.
No, big plays just exploded on them, starting with this one. Lamont Green's interception takes it in for the touchdown, and everything after this just went downhill. Warwick Dunn is going to break away, got good blocking on this play, broke in the secondary, tried to tackle him high. Peter Boulware, second from the left at the top. He's going to come in, block the kick, recovered for a touchdown. Then Andre Cooper, late in the second quarter, wide open in the corner, throws the ball up from Thad Busby for the touchdown, and 4 big plays have turned this football game around.
Mike, you remember the analogy that Bobby Bowden used last week, talking about getting your team going and the offense and everything? He said it's kind of like opening a jar of olives. Really hard to get that first olive out, and once you do, they just all come out of there so easy. But same theory tonight. He got that first olive out, and that was the downfall of Georgia Tech.
Half the jar's empty now.
Rogers 3 yards deep. He will not return it. So let's see if it's going to be Joey Hamilton who will come out to operate the attack in the second half, or if it will be Brandon Shaw. And it appears as though it's going to be number 10, Shaw, who will come back out to run the offense.
Ron, Joe Hamilton came into this ball game with an injured knee, so maybe he hurt that knee in the first half. That's the only thing I can figure. Unless they just are unhappy with his play in the first half. And Joe Hamilton's their quarterback of the future, so I doubt that that's the reason.
Brandon Shaw, as we mentioned, sophomore, redshirt out of Marietta. And this is Curtis Holloman. One of the things when you run a play that does not develop quickly and try to get outside, that speed will be there to catch you. That time Vernon Crawford, a senior out of Texas City, Texas, who's really one of the emotional leaders on the defense, got outside to hit him. If you're George O'Leary, what'd you say at halftime, Mike?
Well, you just want your team to compete. That's what you expect out of them. They made a lot of big mistakes, big plays, but you expect them to come out in the second half and make a game of this.
Myers with the block inside. C.J. Williams spins off, but he can't get away from Henry Crockett.
One of the better defensive teams I've seen.
Wadsworth is down, Mike.
He was hurt after the Miami game. He hurt his knee and didn't practice until Wednesday of the Virginia game. And you were talking about earlier, Ron, that when you get to the stage, and Mickey Andrews talked about this, when you get people nicked and they miss practice, what they miss in practice is the fundamentals. And then all of a sudden you get a little sloppy on Saturday. And if you miss a lot of practices, you get sloppier. And that's what happens when you get guys hurt in football. Can't constantly work on the same things if they're not on the field fundamentally.
Andre Wadsworth, as Mike had mentioned, has been a mainstay on the defensive front. He was a walk-on, but primarily the reason for that, he's a junior out of Miami. He was injured, had a knee injury in high school, and some people didn't know if they wanted to take a chance on him or not. And he really worked his way back in. And now, boy, not just a walk-on, he's been a force. Bobby Bowden, I'm sure, is concerned about this. We're going to go away for a moment. We'll take a break. Right back with more from Atlanta. Hamilton is fine. The reason for using Shaw, they just want to use him in another sequence here. We have not found out about the injury to Wadsworth as yet. They just have taken him to the sideline. We'll update you momentarily. Now this time Curtis McGee. You could see flinched, came out of a stance, and it'll cost him 5.
Full start on the offense. 5 yards. 3rd down.
And let's go to Mike Tirico. What do you have for us, Mike?
Ron, we have this McDonald's breakaway. Takes us over to the Deuce and down to Jordan-Hare, where Rusty Williams is really taking over as the Auburn back. Scored from 15 yards earlier, now 4 yards out. Auburn leads Arkansas by 14. They'll be watching you guys with great interest next Saturday night.
Yeah, I know they will. Getting a little daylight there. 14-point lead in front of 85,000.
And they may be pulling for Alabama.
It could be. You're right. Secretly, though, Mike.
They've got to pull for
outwardly. Brandon Shaw on the keep. Close to the 20-yard line. That's Henry Crockett who is holding on to him along with Darrell Bush. So it's going to bring up Williams into the lineup. And let's take a close look in case you missed the first half. Peter Boulware with a block punt, and he came from the left side, the Florida State left side. And he knocked it into the end zone, and it was recovered by Shevin Smith for the touchdown. And the Noles are coming after him again, but he gets this one away nicely. Fair catch is called for and made, but he dropped the ball. That's Dee Feaster. And they're going to put the ball down at the 33-yard line. But the Deuce has the best in college football. Next Saturday at 12:30, number 9 Michigan and Jared Irons look to sack Purdue. Then at 7 o'clock, Virginia Tech takes on the Pirates of East Carolina. And we're not done at 10. Utah and their high-flying offense goes up against New Mexico. All next Saturday on the Deuce. Warwick Dunn. First half for him, 63 yards on 8 carries. Second half, makes 1 miss, makes 2 miss. not anything that's going to turn any heads with a set of negative yardage. He winds up with about 3 as Rogers, along with Nathan Perryman, stop it.
Well, when you look at Warrick Dunn's numbers, you have to look at tonight. He's averaging 7.2 yards per carry. But you made an interesting point this morning that when you look in big games against Virginia, he had 26 carries for 131 yards versus Miami, 22 carries, 163 yards. He seems to step up, and they give him the ball in the big ball games.
Almost broke this one big. You can see hanging on for dear life is Patrick Bradford. And Mike made the point back in the first half. If you're going to stop Dunn, you got to hit him low. He is much stronger than he would appear. Although he's not big in stature, he is very strong in the upper body. You hit him chest high down, and he'll either spin on you or keep driving.
Yeah, he signed as a defensive back out of high school. He was a quarterback on his high school team on offense. Threw for 700 yards.
Gets the pitch, blocker in front, and he's going to have the first down. Puts a headgear across the 45 into the 47. Keith Booking and Ron Rogers stop him.
You made the statement about what Bobby Bowden said. He's a patient individual. He could have come out, could have made a lot of money in pro football this year, but he said his education meant a lot to him, and he said, I've been poor for 21 years. What's one more?
One more year's not going to make any difference. That's right.
But he set an example. He set an example for his family, and he set an example at Florida State.
Straight ahead with the fullback. He'll take it across the 50. That's Pooh Bear Williams and Kellen Winslow. Do you have more to add down on the sideline?
Well, we all know the story about Warrick Dunn's mother being killed a couple of years ago in Baton Rouge and how that affected him and his family. But he's always been like the leader of his family. He stayed in school, set a good example, wanted his brothers and sisters to know the importance of education. But when you talk about a great young man, we've met some nice young people this year doing college football, but Warrick Dunn is in a class by himself.
Well, I agree with that. I was looking at my notes here. You see him carry the ball again. He's going to be stopped after a gain of 1. Jimmy Clements wraps him up. I have put a big asterisk by. I was looking at notes, and it said right here, Mike, and remember, he said, I always go to church, no matter how tired I am, because I got so much to be thankful for.
He's what's right about college athletics and college football. He is a tremendous example and a tremendous representative. I'm sure Dave Hart, the athletic director, and Bobby Bowden, the football coach, are very proud of Warrick Dunn.
Busby gonna go on top, looking deep, and intercepted by Wilkins. It's his 3rd of the night, and he might have injured himself after the interception.
I played that perfectly, O'Ron. He was back in center field. They're trying to go to Andre Cooper deep down the field again, and Thad Busby just overthrew Andre Cooper, but didn't overthrow Brian Wilkins for another interception.
By the way, now the word from upstairs is Hamilton does have an injury. They say his right elbow.
Well, I'm surprised that he has not come out here in the second half because he gives them a better chance to win. Not that he's any better, but when you're the first-team quarterback, you're the first-team quarterback for a reason. And I think he just gives you a better opportunity. He's more mobile. You can do a lot of things with Joe Hamilton, and he's had a lot of success this year. Brandon Shaw, we talked about him. He played very well last week against Central Florida. His father's a former assistant football coach at Florida State in Tennessee, and he coached Reggie White at Tennessee.
Straight ahead with the carry, and little Charlie Rogers almost burst out of the back of that. See Darrell Bush holding on there, trying not to run over the umpire.
This defense just makes you work for yardage. You're always working, and when I was at halftime, you think of Florida State, they're like a full-court pressing basketball team. They're just on you in special teams all the time. They're on you on defense, and on offense, they're no huddling you. So their pace of the game, they make you play their pace.
Pickup block, the pass complete to Rogers. Darrell Bush going to wrap him up, number 44.
That was thrown very well by Brandon Shaw.
Really was.
Good pressure from the outside. He didn't really have a throwing lane. Found the throwing lane and threw the ball out to Charlie Rogers. Just stands tall in the pocket. He's 6'3" and just good release out to Charlie Rogers for the completion.
There you see Bush coming into the picture, making the tackle. This running play, nothing. Whoa, he got tagged. Darrell Bush posted him. Crawford then came in to help, but he went down hard. That first down just a moment ago is the first in over 15 minutes. You have to go back to the 12:23 mark of the second quarter since Georgia Tech recorded a first down. They got to hold on to the football.
Yeah.
Florida State off the field.
You can't have 3 and outs. That was about the time when that interception.
Yeah.
Lamont Green, everything after that was a disaster. But they need to keep the ball, as you're right, Ron, but they need to make some big plays themselves. It's tough to work against this field when you go, this defense, when you're going 3, 4, 5, 6 yards.
Myers in motion. Shaw rolls the pocket and just throws this one away. Grant Bainham was the closest man to it, the tight end.
Toughest throw for a quarterback. When you're a right-handed quarterback, you've got to get square to the line of scrimmage. But he was having pressure from the inside.
You see what happened with Boulware? He got his arm lodged in between his shoulder pad and his headgear.
Peter Boulware, he's just going to continually pressure Brandon Shaw the outside. Never give him a chance to get his shoulder square up the field. I think they got their headgears hooked up.
I'll tell you what, Mike, that could have been a penalty after one step. That's a no-no zone.
Yeah, that was a pillow fight there. That wasn't a real hit.
Brandon Shaw might disagree with you. Pressure. Delivers it, got it complete. Middleton across the 40. Shevin Smith will make the tackle, and that'll be enough for the first down.
I credit Brandon Shaw here because he steps into the pocket and faces Renard Wilson's coming from the outside. Now here's Harvey Middleton on the route. Just goes down plant, now breaks across the middle. But what made this play is he kept going. Now he stops. Now he comes back to the quarterback. Found a little open zone because Brandon Shaw was being chased. I like Harvey Middleton. He's a good, solid receiver.
Quality. There's a basketball player. Didn't play football until he was a junior in high school. Going to be a gain of about a half yard. Vernon Crawford leading the attack.
And when we were talking to Harvey Middleton yesterday after practice, I asked him, I said, did Joe Hamilton come here because of you? And he said, yeah, I got him here because he committed to Nebraska. Joe Hamilton was an option type quarterback that Nebraska felt could be a player for them, but Harvey Middleton just didn't let up and got him talked into coming to Georgia Tech.
I just want to let someone know they've turned the heat off in the booth, and it's drawing a lot of attention. Rogers to the right side, runs into his own blocker. That was Page who was trying to help him out. Then he gets shoved back. Rogers gets up and looks at the official and says, hey, blow that whistle. Kellen, let's check in with you.
Well, Ron and Mike, we did get an update on Hamilton. He does have an elbow injury. They didn't tell us if it was a bruise or a dislocation. They checked it out at halftime. He is out for the rest of the ball game, though.
Okay, Kellen, that's the word that we had gotten up here as well. So, and as Mike said, he was surprised when Hamilton didn't go in there and had to think you'd look for an injury of some kind. Caught it, stayed in bounds. Holloman.
Well, Brandon Shaw again, he makes a big league play with Peter Boulware right in his face again. Play action pass where he fakes the football and then comes out to his left side, but he was able to get his feet up under him. There's Peter Boulware with that outside pass rush. Now he comes under control because he knows it's a boot, but Brandon Shaw was able to get his feet shuffled around, get him up under him, and make the completion with a good strong throw to the outside to Curtis Holloman. That was big league play by Brandon Shaw. He's been impressive, Ron. I've been impressed with the last couple plays of throwing the football.
has a stronger arm than Hamilton, and I think the impressive thing tonight has been he has more mobility than you might think for a 6'3" kid.
Well, he's got 6'3", that 6'3" size, and he's able to step up in the pocket.
Ninth play of the drive for Georgia Tech. Rogers right up the middle. It'll take it to the 45. Henry Crockett making the stop, and I mentioned the war of words, and these guys are not giving up from Georgia Tech, that's for sure.
Well, Craig Page just had a great block. I don't know who the
I think it was Bush.
Bush. I mean, he just took him right to the ground, but he stayed in contact with him a long time.
Your applause. The heat has come back on in the booth.
Your blood is thinned out, huh?
Curtis Holloman made a couple, then got wrecked pretty hard. Darrell Bush is down at the bottom of that stack. Well, tune in this Thursday at 7:30 for the weekend kickoff show and catch all the news, insights, and predictions. Then at 8 o'clock, the 17th-ranked Wyoming Cowboys make their national television debut on ESPN as they take on San Diego State. For Joe Tiller.
He's having a very good year, and he better buckle it up next week because San Diego State's pretty good with Ted Toler and a pretty good football team.
That'll be a huge test. They also have Colorado State on the road. Just as he got it away, complete. This is Sheridan. And he fell down inside the 20.
Ron, there's the third straight play that Brandon Shaw has made. He got hit and leveled when he threw the football by Vernon Crawford, number 47, but he stood in there again and makes his play. Watch number 10, Brandon Shaw set up. Here's 47. Vernon Crawford hits him as he throws the football to Mike Sheridan. Big completion.
Timeout, Florida State.
Here's the route. Mike Sheridan, number 17, on the little drag, little shallow cross. Shevin Smith missing a tackle.
So we'll take a break. 28-3 Florida State, and Tech is threatening. The State, Georgia Tech is threatening. Coming up later in the game, we'll be selecting the Visa players of the game. Just got a report that Andre Wadsworth has a burner in the neck, and so he's not going to return. Good look at Raynard Wilson. Bull Ware on the other side. Boy, there are a lot of pro scouts here tonight. With the accessibility of Atlanta to the rest of the world, probably one of the reasons to look at these two. Look at time of possession and plays.
But only 3 points.
What a stick on Curtis Holloman. He got whacked as he cut back into the line. And Vernon Crawford, who in this sequence has made about 4 tackles.
He really has. And this is the type of play right now that Georgia Tech has to make if they're going to get back in this football game. They were not able in the first half to get 7 points on the board. Had to settle for 3 field goal attempts. But they need to punch this ball in for a score here.
George O'Leary, his second year at Georgia Tech. Looking on as we're about to go into 4 minutes to play, third quarter. His club is down by 25. Opening for Holloman. Flag did come down, and that's going to be a late hit, I believe.
It might be a holding, Ron.
Well, it is going to be a holding.
On the offense.
And it looked for the world as though there was a late hit, didn't it?
Yes.
Still second down.
Connell Spain is down now. Wadsworth out a moment ago. Now the other defensive tackle.
Can't afford to lose Andre Wadsworth and Connell Spain, although their backups, Julian Pittman and Jerry Johnson, have played quite a bit.
Vernon Crawford, we mentioned, one of the emotional leaders of this defense. Sean Key, number 16, comes into the huddle. So we're going to take a break. 3:59 left in the third. Florida State 28-3.
I know you're excited about college basketball coming on. I am as well. But Majerus looked much more at home in the partying situation there than Mike Krzyzewski did.
Dribbling those basketballs all over the country, aren't they?
Yeah, there are a lot of football coaches that are happy they are, too. It's called changing the focus.
Clock is running. 3:55 and counting. That's in the third quarter. Craig Page out over the football.
Harvey Middleton's been the experienced receiver.
2nd and 16. Here comes the pressure. Shaw. He's just going to throw this one away. And the flag is down back well behind the line of scrimmage. Lamont Green with the pressure.
Well, Lamont Green and Renard Wilson hit Brandon Shaw just as he delivered the football. Yeah, about everything's going wrong for Georgia Tech now. Renard Wilson, his first step. Now remember, he's about 265, and he bench presses over 500 pounds, being held, and still gets in to make the hit on Brandon Shaw. Now, Ron, you talked about all the pro scouts here. A lot of eyes on 55 there.
That's what I mean.
Wilson,
looking at Wilson, they don't know if Boulware is going to stick around.
Well, there's a premier for pass rush guys, and Renard Wilson does it as well as anybody in the country in college football.
A lot of folks in here watching. I think Guba's the one that they were pointing the finger at, as you could see that the replay. Matt Guba. He said when they played North Carolina State that the band kept calling him Gubba. They said in unison, "Hey Gubba, where's Forrest?" Swings the pass. Rogers got an opening. Gets by Bush. Nope, won't get by Darrell Bush. Nice job defensively by the youngster out of Altamont Springs, and he throws him out of bounds around the 33.
They're taking a lot of hits on Brandon Shaw right here. The backup quarterback's getting hit a lot after he throws the football. Here's a play-action pass. Julian Pittman, the backup for Andre Wadsworth, with the hit. Peter Boulware also hitting him, and that's how you try to take advantage of those hard-charging defensive ends, is try to get that ball in that little flare pass to Rogers.
Frakes will attempt his field goal of 51 yards. This is into the breeze. Well, it was true, but he used a 9-iron and should have used about a 7. Well, let's go down to the sideline. Kellen Winslow and another injury update.
Well, Mike and Ron, if I'd known to be doing this many injury updates, I would have gone to medical school instead of law school. But Cannell Spain, number 96, is out with a sprained left knee. His medial collateral ligament is sprained. They're going to evaluate him after the game to see just how severe. And that's a big blow to Florida State because Wadsworth, their other defensive tackle, is already out with what was first classified as a burner and has been upgraded to a cervical sprain.
Now, the problem that gives you is that your Florida State defense is based on the premise of taking those two ends up the field and forcing that quarterback up in the pocket. And when you got a guy like Wadsworth in Spain moving the pocket up inside, there's no place for the quarterback to go. So it's not just the two ends that make this defense. It's the four of those defensive linemen together. And
the push that they get.
Yeah, to lose both of those tackles tonight in this ball game, I'm sure Bobby Bowden is concerned about this 28-3 lead a little bit, but is more concerned about those two defensive tackles.
Under 3 minutes to play, third quarter. Florida State by 25. Busby on second down wins it, has it complete. That's Peter Warrick across the 45. Good for the first down, and Nathan Perryman puts a stopper on him.
Ronnie Cottrell, who heads up the recruiting for Florida State, when I talked to him a couple weeks ago, was talking about Peter Warrick. He said he's our next great receiver. He's a young guy, he's a freshman, 6 foot 190, but has so much speed and talent. They just keep recruiting receivers and linebackers and defensive backs and running backs. I mean, they have more depth than any team I've seen in the country.
Poubert puts the head down. Mike D with the inauspicious task of coming up to tackle all 287 pounds of Poubert Williams.
And when you talk about Florida State, the difference in the ACC is like Virginia. Virginia played them tough. North Carolina played them tough, but they have more depth than those teams they have right now. But they're catching them. Florida State's bringing the level of the ACC up to them.
One of the things we can always tell, Mike, when we go in on Thursdays to see practice, the squads that their first teams work out against are better than most teams.
Oh, they get a great look, and that's big in college football because you get a much better look in practice.
Dunn is loose.
Goodbye.
Chalk it up. Touchdown, Warrick Dunn. 45 yards.
Ron, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I can't believe somebody told me his name's not on the list to visit the Heisman Trophy in New York. Somebody needs to put his name on that list. Talk about those pro scouts looking at Renard Wilson. They're also looking at 28.
Perfect. 1:38 to play, third quarter. New score, Florida State 35-3.
Well, you just wear a defense down eventually. Now you give the ball to Warrick Dunn, and he makes those little moves. You know, when you have speed straight ahead, but he's got lateral speed that when he makes those cuts, he doesn't lose any speed, and he just breaks in the secondary for the touchdown. Great running backs run in the country. He's my choice right there, the best running back in the country. I know you like Hanspard a little bit from Texas Tech, Spike's team.
Yep, I do. I just think that Hanspard needs to get more attention than he has. You look at the numbers. Davis of Iowa State, 1,594 yards. Of course, that youngster over 2,000 last year. Hanspard headed for that same destination, 1,611 right now. And Warrick Dunn, 123 carries, 762 yards. But he got off to a slower start because they were focusing on that quarterback position, I think.
Well, you look at this team, Troy Davis and Hanspard are the offenses for both their teams. Warrick Dunn is surrounded by a lot of gifted athletes, receivers like Cooper and E.G. Green, a quarterback like Thad Busby, and they also bring in a backup tailback at Rock Preston. But you look at his yardage, he's in attempts and only half as much attempts, almost half as much as the other backs. But I don't think that if I start a football team, you give me one running back college football, I'd take him.
Rogers, 5 yards deep, won't return. And here's a look at the run, this time from ground level. Bostic tries to arm tackle, misses the ankle, and it's history. You know, he looks as though the gait is very smooth, but he doesn't look as though he's moving that quickly. And all of a sudden, he's gone to the secondary. And as Mike said earlier, probably the most impressive thing about him, you look at the big showdown games, like earlier this year, Miami, the huge run, broke that one wide open. Virginia, 65 yards, he broke that one wide open. His freshman year down in Florida, broke it open.
I only have one question. Who beat him out in high school for that running back position that made him be a quarterback?
Sings the pass, incomplete. Middleton is the guy that he was looking for. That'll stop the clock at 1:34. Brandon Shaw getting some very valuable experience here tonight, as he's getting to look at one of the best defenses he'll see for the entire time he plays at Georgia Tech.
He's not going to see a better defense in this year. Now, there's some good defenses in this league, and you got to put Virginia up as one of the best defenses in the country, and North Carolina.
Carolina as well.
That's 3 great defenses in this conference, and Clemson's not bad.
Now let's check in with Mike Tirico. Mike?
Oh, Ron, let's update everyone on the game over on the Deuce. Auburn and Damian Craig, and this is when he can be so tough. eludes what would have been a sack for most quarterbacks on the run to Tyrone Goodson. Great touchdown. 26 yards. Carries Tigers by 21.
Yeah, it looks like that Auburn coaching staff did some stern talking on the sideline and some adjustments. They scored 28 unanswered points against the Hogs. Under a minute to play in this third quarter. Raynard Wilson. Bush with a lot of pressure. Pass overthrown, and it's Middleton that he was looking for.
Just have everything covered, Ron. When you sprint your quarterback out, Darrell Bush is blitzing to try to get a little pressure on Brandon Shaw. The coverage is good in the secondary, and just a complete defensive effort tonight for Florida State.
See Chuck Amato there on the sideline. He's the linebackers coach. He's got to be very pleased with Lamont Green with the pickoff and the touchdown. Here's Williams' kick. This is not a good one. Into the wind. This one dives. That's going to go out of bounds short of the 50-yard line. Only a 23-yard boot. Florida State takes it over in good field position.
And Ron, when you talk Heisman Trophy, of course, you talk about running backs, but you also have to talk about the quarterback position, and there are three pretty solid quarterbacks out there now.
And of course, Wuerffel, it goes without saying, he is about to set a record as far as the points and passing proficiency in the NCAA. Of course, you got Manning and you got Plummer out at Arizona State.
Ron, I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to give you my belief that Peyton Manning will come back next year. And I think he'll play another year at Tennessee, even if he wins the Heisman Trophy.
Kinzer is his quarterback, and he sprints to the left, gets his pass away. Ball comes out. Now it depends on if they're going to say, did he catch it or was it incomplete? Coles, he coughed it up, and they say incomplete.
And I know you've talked to Archie Manning. I've talked to him also, but and he didn't say anything like that. I just have a firm belief that Peyton Manning will be back next year in college football.
We hope so. I'm not sure I share those.
That's all right.
Don't
jump on the fence with me there.
Don't
but
worry.
I mean, I'm on the limb there, but I think he'll be back.
Second down and 10. Whoa, what a hit at the line of scrimmage by Brookie. Keith Brooking on D. Feaster, and let's check in with Kellett. Kellett?
Mike, I'm going to go out on a limb with you about that Peyton Manning prediction.
Hey,
he will
thanks,
be back
Kellen.
in Tennessee next year. You know, the young man just seems to be enjoying himself. We spent some time with him in the games we've done at Tennessee. I met Peyton last year. A very good friend of mine coaches at Tennessee, Kevin Ramsey, defensive back coach. They love him there. He's having a great time in college. And, you know, there's really no financial reason for him to come out. I think he'll stay.
No, it's not going to be a crowded limo, Kellen. Just be you and I.
That's the end of the. Kendra has come in at quarterback. And you see number 96, Cadell Spain, being helped off the field. And you see the binding, the ice pack on his left knee. So Spain injured tonight. Wadsworth injured tonight. Both of the starting defensive tackles for Florida State. Kendrick being flushed out of the pocket. 35 Brooking along with Mike D combining on the stop. And as we discussed in the game against Clemson, when he runs, those defensive backs need to keep in mind now it's not a quarterback running. At 238 pounds, he's no joy to tackle.
No, and his favorite player when he was looking at the pros was Lawrence Taylor, so it tells you a little bit about his mentality. He didn't have a quarterback as his favorite player.
Yes, it's wonder he doesn't hit himself then.
See Lawrence.
Oh, I got you. Passed over, but I got it second time.
Quarterback sneak. And Kendra will pick up the first down. Mike Tirico, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, final minute and change at the Rose Bowl. Stanford and UCLA. It's Chad Hutchinson down 6 to the end zone for Brian Manning. They kick the extra point in the final minute. Stanford leads UCLA by 1.
That'd be their first conference win, wouldn't it?
I think so.
35-3 our score as you're looking to the guys in number 44, Darrell Bush,
UCLA has played a very difficult schedule and started with Tennessee.
Ingrid fumbles that snap. Derek Shepard said, whoop, that's it. Into the way. Flag comes down at the 39 as he did not get back to the line of scrimmage.
And he was not looking to throw the football after. He was just going to try to make whatever he could make on the play.
Well, we got more football coming up next. The Falcons of Air Force host the Colorado State Rams. Bo Morgan and his mates hope to continue their winning ways with more option offense. That's following our game. So holding against Florida State, and I believe that's the first holding call since back in the first quarter when they had 3.
And they were hit with 3 right away in the first quarter.
They really were.
Lost a field position battle early.
Interesting seeing Coach Bowden put those headsets on. I got a thought on that as soon as the play is over here. Yeah, well off the mark on that one. You know, Mark Richt, the offense coordinator, now calls the plays. Bobby had called them forever and ever. And he said, you know, yeah, I was kind of getting back on the headset. And I was kind of messing him up, not letting him get his job done. So he said Clemson, Miami, and Virginia, that he has not done anything as far as calling the plays. And he said, as a result, as you look at Mark over there on the right-hand side of your picture, he said it's been a lot more continuity since I've stayed away.
Ron, that was a nice arrow. But Bobby Bowden said he's a cheerleader now.
Going to lose a yard. Yeah, that arrow looked like the ones that the Seminoles were firing in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Duds into the ground.
This is good time for Dan Kendra, the backup quarterback. Get a little work. There was a time during the first part of the season where we had the North Carolina State game on Thursday, and Dan Kendra came in and played very well. And then when we went down there in Clemson, he was pushing Thad Busby. There was a time when they thought maybe he was going to overtake Thad Busby, but then Thad Busby just took off.
Trey Thomas is in at left tackle. 6'8", 330. Look at him there on the left side, number 70. Kendra's going to go down. Stimson gets the sack, number 56, out of West Palm Beach, Florida.
Now the game's getting really sloppy for Florida State offensively.
Sean List will punt it away. What a pick up the first. They had to go all the way back down to the 26-yard line of Georgia Tech. So this drive went backwards. Fair catch is called for by Perryman and is made. 38 yards in the punt. Let's take a timeout. 11:57 left in our ball game. All Florida State. (35-3). Florida State leads. And as Mike said, a lot of substitutions, and play got a little sloppy on that last sequence. I want to correct one thing I said earlier, that this would be Stanford's first conference win. It would not. They beat Oregon 27-24. Pump once. Shaw on top. Got him out there and just overthrown. Middleton, the man that he was looking for. Let's bring in an old friend, Bino Cook, to talk a little bit about the Heisman race. Bino, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Heisman race, I know you get a vote. Who would be your man right now?
Well, Danny Wuerffel from Florida. I think it's his to lose. And I think unless he does what Mike Phipps did in 1969, Mike Phipps of Purdue was the winner until he threw 6 interceptions against Ohio State in November, and Steve Owens won it. Unless Danny has a terrible, terrible game against Florida State, I think he will win it.
Even Bino, if Florida State goes down and beats Florida, and Warrick Dunn rushes for over 150 yards, You don't think that there's any chance that Warrick Dunn will overcome Danny Werfel? Because that's my scenario, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, you might be right. I don't think that if Warrick Dunn would then get the Heisman Trophy. I would think if Plummer would have a better chance than Dunn if Arizona State went all the way. I basically think it's a two-man race between Danny and Plummer, with Orlando Pace finishing in the top 3. I think a lot of people will vote him number 2 and 3. I think he has a good chance to finish in the top 3. I don't think he will win it, but I think if people will want to cleanse themselves, all the members of the media, and they will vote for Pace in the top 3.
Well, we're going to have more from Bino. We'll take a break. Back with more. We have 11:46 to play in our football game. 35-3. Florida State leading over Georgia Tech. Bino, while we got a little stoppage in play here, what about Orlando Pace? Can you give it to an offensive lineman?
Well, you can, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I've said this before. You're never going to have somebody from Montana become president, and you're never going to have an offensive lineman win the Heisman Trophy. I just don't think it's going to happen. I've read a column by Associated Press this week, and a survey was kind of taken, and Pace is very difficult for him to win. That doesn't mean he should not win it. I just don't think he will.
Pass too long and incomplete. Bino, we thank you so much for your time. It's good to talk to you, my friend. It's been a long time, but we appreciate you coming on tonight, okay?
Thank you very much for having me on.
All righty. Bino Cook from up in Pittsburgh tonight. And we're going to contemplate his scenario about the president from Montana for a while.
Well, the people of Montana thank him, too.
So punt formation. Rodney Williams back for Georgia Tech.
Why do you think that is, Ron? It snows out there too much or what?
Lack of population, I guess. Going to be down to the 45. 32-yard punt.
It's a chance for Dan Kendra again to get something going on offense.
There's a reverse. Peter Warrick. Warrick still on his feet. He's going to come back the other way. He reverses a reverse, and this one's looking well. Stepped out of bounds.
Tell you, Ron, Dan Kendra really worked up the field and made a block. Now, he was back in his element on this play. He got a chance to hit somebody.
And I'll tell you, Kevin Long, the offensive center for the Seminoles, is injured. He is up, but they've come out to help him off, and he is favoring his right leg, his right knee.
Now, that's 3 starters that have gotten injured for Florida State. Bobby Bowden just soon get this game over with.
Put that thing on fast forward. You're right.
Get it over with and get out of here. We're getting too many people hurt. Well, Dan Kendra really worked hard on this last play. Reversed Peter Warrick, and it worked all the way back to him. Now look at him, number 10, 6'2", 250, getting a chance to deliver a blow. 238. Number 10 shows his speed too, getting ahead of Warrick right here, and then trying to get a lick on Nathan Perriman.
So Kevin Long is being helped off the field now. We'll try to get Kevin over there by him to get a report and see the extent of that injury. It means that Eric Thomas, a freshman from Miami, comes in at center, number 57. They go to Preston. Throws it complete. Warrick at the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. What a second effort by Peter Warrick.
Well, he said he may be the next great receiver, and he's showing you why. Good play fake by Dan Kendra, which helped the linebackers.
Benton with the extra point. It's good.
Peter Warwick is going to work down the field and across, and a good play fake by Dan Kendra right here, which will hold the linebackers. There's the play fake. Now Warwick's in the middle of the field. Linebackers can't catch up to him. Makes a good catch on a high throw and then works his way into the end zone for the touchdown.
Well, he really did go high for that ball. It was almost over his head. You could see Wilkins trying to hold on to it. Freshman out of Bradenton. 2 plays, 55 yards in 24 seconds.
And that really helps Florida State cause because Dan Kendra gets a little confidence from that play.
You know, every time we have seen Kendra when he's been able to play, just like he's doing on the sideline there, smiling, he has a lot of fun. He really enjoys it. First quarter, that was not the way these benches looked. Georgia Tech was up and feeling good, and they were leading 3-0. But since then, an avalanche.
And I think you've got to give Georgia Tech a couple more recruiting classes to build on and get a little bit more depth, just like you have to give all these coaches in this conference a chance to catch up to Florida State. They're making some strides.
Rogers will pick it up at the 15. Rogers, good heavens, does he get almost decapitated at the 35-yard line. That's battle, so let's check in with Mike Tirico. Mike?
Well, Ron, as we look at the watch, getting close to 10 o'clock Eastern time, and the cadets are getting ready for the second game of our nighttime doubleheader. May need all the cadets to stop Bo Morgan and Air Force. Each one conference loss. It's coming up next.
Bo Morgan throwing one of the few passes he'll throw tonight because he'll be pitching it, but it's behind him.
Yeah, a little bit of underhand passing game for them.
That option, that's right. 42-3. Florida State looking awesome, but as Mike said, Bobby Bowden would like to get on the bus right now and head back to Tallahassee. They have had a lot of injuries. Holloman, the intended receiver, a little too hot.
The only good comes out of this ball game now is with backup quarterbacks and a lot of down-the-line players who practice every day for this opportunity to get better and get on tape so the coaches can evaluate them and grade them. They come in tomorrow, they'll see whether they got a plus or minus on every play and the grade that they arrive at for their performance.
Dan Kendra on the sideline. Remember during the Clemson game we talked about Coach Bowden said he is really a stickler for what he puts in his body. He goes and just spends hours in the grocery store making sure he buys healthy food. Shaw's pass is caught by Myers. John Myers, a freshman out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. He was a high school quarterback. Has had a problem with the hamstring injury, but they have wanted to get him in because really an outstanding athlete. Using him now at wide receiver.
That was another good throw by Brandon Shaw. The defensive ends resting a little bit. Peter Boulware and Renard Wilson had a big night, putting pressure on Joe Hamilton and Brandon Shaw.
And it's been a costly game for the Seminoles, although they are up there big. As you look on the bench, the starting center, Kevin Long, with that ice pack on his neck. And let's check in with Kellen Winslow.
Ron, Kevin Long, as you can see with the ice on his neck, has a burner, which is a pinched nerve that goes down his shoulder. He gets hit on that thing and it gets aggravated. You lose feeling in the shoulder. It varies from player to player how long it takes them to recover. I doubt if we see him anymore today. Coach Bowden wants to get out of Atlanta as quickly as he can.
Well, next week Wake Forest is up on the list for Florida State, and you have to wonder how many of these guys, Mike, that they will, not even suit in that football game, not taking a chance. The Southern Mississippi is the week after that. Shaw's pass, nicely thrown to Middleton. Number 4, Troy Saunders, comes up to make the hit. And here you see Florida State, as I said, next week against Wake Forest. That's at home in Southern Mississippi. Then they have Maryland. And then, of course, on the 30th, the Florida Gators are waiting.
All in Florida, and of course they can't afford to look ahead to that 30th game because Southern Miss very capable, and on any given Saturday, and anybody's capable, but Southern Miss plays such good defense. It'll be a good matchup.
Busby winds up with a good night, although he had a very slow start. Hit Jerry Johnson, who is in at defensive tackle, replacing Connell Spain, who injured the knee. And he comes up with the sack. Second time they've gotten to the quarterback of Georgia Tech tonight.
Fresh legs, Ron, just coming into the ball game. He's fresh. He just beat the block of the offensive guard and was able to take down Brandon Shaw. Never had a chance to throw the ball.
Well, coming up immediately following our ball game, we'll be headed out to Colorado Springs. Air Force playing host to Colorado State. Feaster fumbles the fair catch, then gets down on it. And it is dead at the 14. Let's take a break. 42-3, Florida State. So 8:24 showing on the clock, and it has been thorough by Florida State tonight. They kind of went sleepwalking through that first 15 minutes, but boy, in the second quarter and the third and now the fourth, they are putting on a show. Kendra, it is caught. Then he dropped it. Did he hold on? No. They're going to say incomplete. That's Jermaine Stringer. I want to make one more point. We're talking about Peyton Manning. I'm not going to say I totally disagree with you on him coming out, but if he did, the one reason that sticks out in my mind, I think he's got more leverage as far as the team that he might wind up with now than he would if he waited until after his senior year.
Mark it down. He stays in.
Okay. I mean, I know you got inside information.
No,
I
don't have any inside information. Mark it down. He's coming back.
Okay. That's good, Mike.
It's my story.
Fullback Lamar Glenn. And Glenn, who is 6'4", 248, a sophomore out of Daytona Beach, rumbles out to the 35. It's a 21-yard run. Well, tonight's Visa players of the game are from Florida State, Warwick Dunn, 121 yards and a touchdown of 13 carries. And from Georgia Tech, Brian Wilkins, the free safety, 3 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, and 2 tackles. And as part of their continued effort to further the development of amateur athletics, Visa is proud to donate $1,000 to each of these universities on behalf of these athletes. Under 8 minutes to play. Feaster.
Coach, that's the third-team tailback.
I started to say, you talk about depth. And look, he doesn't want to run out of bounds. He wants to keep the clock running. I guarantee you that's what they told him to do. And he's down to the 25. Wilcox finally stops it. 41 yards by Feaster.
And he shows some jets also. Good speed, makes some cuts, sprint draw to the left, good block. Now he's in the secondary, ran away from the corner, now breaks to the outside, tries to get more yardage. Reggie Wilcox finally makes the tackle.
Straight ahead for a couple of yards. Feaster might be an inch taller as well. He might be in the 5'9", 5'9.5" range.
I'll tell you, when you can load up Warwick Dunn and bring in Rock Preston and Dee Feaster, and then you got tight ends on this team. I was talking to Kellen Winslow today about this. Melvin Pearsall, Charlton, who are pretty good players, and they don't hardly play. I don't know how they keep them all happy, because you got all these players, and Bobby Bowden and his staff do a good job of explaining the role playing. And they accept their role here, and they play it, and they wait for their opportunity to be on the field. It's amazing. It's great.
Henry zings that pass, and that's Lavernus Coles, who has it complete. That's good for 11 yards. Coming up next, Colorado State at the Air Force Academy. Gary Thorne and Rodney Gilmore standing by. In the Rockies.
And Ron, I'll tell you what's going through George O'Leary's mind right now as he stands on the sideline. He knows this is the blueprint of what you want to be like, this Florida State football team. You got to keep recruiting players with speed, size, and do the best job you can do in recruiting to build this same blueprint that Florida State has built. It's taken Florida State a while. And Georgia Tech is on the right path.
Well, what you saw right there was Kendra just take it on a quarterback sneak on first down. And I think you can tell that Bobby Bowden simply doesn't want to run up the score if he can avoid it. However, where he is
I don't know if he can avoid it. Kindra, low snap. He's going to run it. No intention of throwing. And he hurdles, goes down at the 1-yard line.
Oh, there's the Lawrence Taylor coming out.
Yes, he's down at the 1. We'll give him a 7 on style points.
Yeah, you just had to have a feeling he was going to do this. He's trying to get in that end zone, and you got to like the effort. You got to like the quarterback in him, trying to make something happen, just diving up in the air.
Now they're going to bring the chain across the way.
So much for your theory on the quarterback sneak.
His quarterback keep right. He had no intention to throw it.
No, but he had an intention of getting in that end zone.
Yeah. Shoulder a little bit short. It's going to be 3rd down. And the ball is just at the 1-yard line. 5 minutes, 17 seconds left in this one. 42 Florida State, 3 Georgia Tech. And that came early on an interception on the first play. Busby was picked off. 1 of 3 interceptions by Wilkins. Lamar Glenn and Feaster are the setbacks. And Kindra straight ahead, he scores. Mike Tirico, let's check in with you.
Okay, Ron, thanks. On the right side of your screen, picture at Air Force Academy in Colorado. Colorado State taking on Air Force in the Pacific Division of the WAC. Wyoming 6-0. Air Force is 4-1. Colorado State 4-1. So they're tied for second. An important game in the WAC. It has just kicked off. We'll keep you up to date. Let's send you back to Atlanta.
Okay, Mike. Much congratulations on the sideline for Kindra and his mates as they come off. Extra point by Bentley is perfect. And it's 49-3. So let's take a timeout. 5:10 left in our ball game. Back with more after this. And the folks that came up here from Tallahassee celebrating, well, they should. Down 3-0 at the end of the first quarter, and since then, if Chicken Little were here, they would have sworn the sky was falling. 49 unanswered points.
I don't know how to speak yet. What's up, Derek?
Bentley's kick. Going to be Rogers from the 10. Charlie comes back out to the 30. Kevin, let's check in with you.
Well, Ron, in the beginning of the ball game, we did a graphic on the big play effect of Florida State, but more specifically the big play effect of Warrick Dunn. Tonight, 11 carries for 25 yards, but the big plays on 2 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is the impact that Warrick Dunn has on his football team, and that's what Florida State is looking for, that home run hitter, whether it be Cecil Fielder or from the left side, Norm Cash.
How about Gates Brown, Kellen?
I like Gates also. I don't remember Gates.
Oh, he was a great one.
C.J. Williams breaks the tackle, comes out across the 40. That's a nice second effort by him. Sean Mitchell, 94, is there to make the hit. The 7 scorers tonight. Of course, the interception used no time. When you add them all up, Mike, average time for a score, 1 minute and 11 seconds by Florida State. Under 5 minutes to play. Straight up the middle, Williams has 5, 6, and 7. And let's go to Colorado Springs and Gary Thorne. Gary,
it'll make you blow some assignments.
22-yard gain on that, and Air Force is rolling. And welcome, everybody. This is the home of the Falcons at the Air Force Academy. We are just underway here in the first quarter as Colorado State and Air Force going at one another.
Wow. Sonny Lubick and his guys got one put on him quick, didn't they?
The option attack. Quick score.
Solomon down the sideline. and runs out of bounds. See, Grant was out there, number 39, to hit him. And 2 minutes and 58 seconds left in the ball game.
As we look at this conference, Ron, who do you figure ends up second in this conference? Of course, there's one big ball game left that probably will
That's
have
the one that determines whether it's going to be Carolina or whether it's going to be Virginia.
That's going to be a great football game. And they'll probably have 4 teams in bowls this year if Clemson continues to roll.
Now here are the standings. Florida State on top. They're perfect. Carolina 5-1 with their only loss to the Seminoles. Then Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Clemson. And like you said, Mike, it all comes down to Virginia, North Carolina.
And Ron, they could get 5 teams. I mean, Clemson's bad. I think Clemson's really improving as they go along. And there's their bowl affiliations. And you talked about, you think that North Carolina, and I agree, if they win out, they should be in the alliance.
I do too. Yeah.
So they could have 2 teams in that.
Second team, Gator, then the Peach and the Carquest. Solomon for 3. Dexter Jackson, who is one of their special teams punt block specialists, comes up to make the hit. In the Atlantic Coast Conference, things are very bright and rosy. I know financially, the television money they got last year was way ahead of everybody else in the country between basketball and football.
Well, Mr. Corrigan, who is the commissioner of the league, has done a nice job in running this conference. And
Mike, we are about to head out to Colorado Springs. Is this when it hits 139 and 138? For you and Kellen Winslow, this has been fun tonight. Interesting to see Florida State and how far they have come in this season, particularly after we saw them against Clemson. And boy, that game against Florida at the end of the year just really sets up as a huge struggle. So 49-3, Florida State leads with 1:30 left. And for Mike Gottfried and Kevin Winslow, Ron Franklin saying so long from Atlanta. Let's go back to Gary Thorne at Colorado Springs. Gary?